Okay, we're live. I think. Hopefully nothing's trying to kill me. Bitrate's looking pretty good. Hello, Sparks. Hello. How you doing today? You can hear me, right? On stream? I hope so. I'm doing fantastic. I was sick, but I'm doing better now. We're playing on the SlackVille SMP today. Pretty cool place. I'm live, I know. Absolutely crazy. It's a Cbones. 17 months of the amazing Mr. Cbones. Look at that. Thank you for continuing to be a sub, even though I was sick and not streaming. I really do appreciate that. The amazing Mr. Cbones. We can hear, it's excellent. Thank goodness you can hear me. Because I had to check all my audio, because I haven't streamed in a little bit. I'd update all my programs. But everything's looking good now, I think. I'm drinking lots of coffee. Is it a building SMP? Yeah, it is, actually. We build lots of things. It's like a really, really cool community-driven SMP. I can actually give a little bit of tour when I show the screen here in a second. That stuff on screen right now is not the SMP. That's things that I've built in the past, right? That's my past palace. I'm going to include other projects I've worked on in the future. But that's something else. It's not on this server, but it's something I've done in the past, right? I'm a very good builder. Let's see here. Let's grab some things. Let's go. And let everyone know that I went live. Because I do have a Discord. Did the Discord already do it? Look at that. How kind of it. It's a Font! Hello, Font. How are you doing? Font is pretty cool. He works on my texture packs. Or he helped me a lot with the texture packs. He is a texture pack master. I know no one that is better at the texture packs than he is. And that's not something I say lightly, because I know a lot of really good people with Minecraft modding and stuff like that. Well, I mean, it's not modding, because it's a texture pack. But I know a lot of people who are intricately familiar with the ins and outs of how to make Minecraft cool content. If that makes any sense. Happy to see you streaming, Mr. F. Thank you, Wade Monkey. It's good to be back. Thank you. Hygiene, hello! Yes, I am back. We're going to be back at streaming again. I was pretty sick. Couldn't do much of anything. But now, I'm feeling better. So much better that I've got my coffee next to me. Okay, let's, Did I even do what I just said I was going to do? Probably not. I'm too busy reading chat. Because of all of your amazing messages. Let's see here. No, not that one. That's good. There we go. Doing well. I hope you are too, Fearless. Thank you. Let's see. How is everyone out there doing? All you amazing peeps. We're going to be getting into building a bunch of things today. Okay. Oh, I haven't streamed so long that I'm not sure what to do next. Other than run around with my head cut off. And hopefully play some logs, you know? Because that's usually what happens in Minecraft. Usually, anyway. Accidentally open the other dashboard. I know, it's been forever. You gotta dust off all the things. We gotta dust off everything. Dust off the streaming, dust off the things. Let's see here. I really, really have missed streaming. Streaming is something that I enjoy quite a bit. How did I gain 2 sub points? Oh, that's why. ALackOfHygine. Resubscribe with Twitch Prime. I was like, why did I just gain 2 sub points? Only one person subbed. And it's because of ALackOfHygine. Thank you so much. Thank you with your Twitch Prime sub. I know, it's, again, I didn't want to be gone. I was just sick, though. And yet you can't really do anything about your health, you know. Other than rest and hope it gets better. My bitrate is looking excellent today. The last time I streamed, about a month ago, my bitrate was, like, in the negative. It's not very appealing. Let's see here. Okay. Let's post a bunch of things, and then we'll get into playing the game. Let's see here. Cbones gifted a sub to Skull. Thank you, Cbones. You guys are getting crazy. I've only been streaming for 5 minutes. What are you doing? Okay, that's good. I don't even know what to say. I have been working on some Minecraft builds, right? So I haven't been entirely idle. Come on, the last 12 months you've done that? What is your subscription streak, Skull? What is your streak at? You're a 13-month subscriber. Let's see here. Okay, no. Yes? No. Yes? Maybe? Maybe. Yes. He's done all my months besides one. Wow. That's because Cbones is pretty amazing. Cbones has been working pretty hard, you know? He hasn't gotten to play Minecraft at all much. Thankfully, I have gotten to play Minecraft on my CourageCraft server with some of the epic peeps over there, you know? Having some fun, doing all the things. We were mining for copper. We actually want to build a big copper monument there. I really, really am coming to like copper a lot. Like, I'm finding a lot of uses for it. You know, it's funny. I don't have any copper here on SlackVille. Not yet, anyway. Is it coming nighttime again? No, it's not. It's just noon. Noon in Minecraft is secretly nighttime. Let's go here. Switch screens. Is it gonna work? It did work. It's Minecraft. It's a chicken! No, it's been a long time since I've seen one of those. Free chicken nuggets. Look at that. I actually need food desperately. I'm almost out of food on SlackVille. I'm starving to death. I'm on the cusp of starving to death, anyway. I know, you might say, well, it's 15 steaks right there. Isn't that going to last you a little while? And the answer is no. I need more food. More. You're not there to give me food, I know, right? I gotta live off the land or something. You know, it's funny. I'd never see any passive mobs spawn here at all. Isn't that weird? You're still in the starting screen? I shouldn't be. No, I think it changed over. Hello, Sirius. How are you doing, buddy? I don't think so. I think I'm on the right screen. Oof, the delay. Oof! Or are you in voice chat? The delay might be... No, the delay looks okay. It's just about 6 seconds, I think. Which is, average for a stream. It's good to see you too, Sirius. It's been sad since I haven't been able to stream in a little while, you know? My mother was sick, I was sick, my cat was sick. She's with me right now, my cat. She wasn't feeling well. We had to take her to the vet. Baby the cat. What do you want? She's now at my feet. I looked at her. It was my mistake. I looked at her and said baby. That was my mistake. How could I do something like that? How could I do something like that? That obviously means it's time for her to get attention. The only thing I found copper useful for so far is chum for my XP furnace. Deep slate, though. Deep slate is so nice. I love deep slate. Deep slate, goodness. Deep slate is so good. I don't think we're going to have any of that on here. Deep slate comes in like 12 different varieties, right? You got stairs, you got slabs, you got... Actually, I think it's more than that. You got stairs, you got slabs. What are you doing? Cat, what are you doing? Making crunching noises. I didn't know you could do that. She's a little old lady. I don't know what she's doing over there, though. Burn a stick of regular oak! Thank goodness. It's not dark oak. I was almost worried. Almost gonna be sad that we're a actual stack of dark oak would be burned. Deep slate is so nice. I'm gonna say that there are a lot of varieties of deep slate. It's actually really nice. You get stairs, you get slabs. Actually, we can actually look. Right. Look at that. Stairs, slabs, polished, stairs. Right. Look at all those different varieties. I love this one. I think the tiles are my favorite. DMs? Yeah, I love this, the deep slate tiles. Deep slate tiles are really nice. That would be great for like a really evil-looking castle or something like that. The polished is also really good, right? And the deep slate bricks. And that's just regular bricks, but dark, right? It's a really nice block. It's really interesting because, you know, it's going to take up a sizable portion of the world in the future. Like, maybe a third of the entire Minecraft world will be covered in this block, right? In deep down the deep dark, right? Because below Y0, right, all the way to Y60, this is what the entire world will be made out of, deep slate, right? Don't let Shiny see the deep slate. Yeah, we gotta keep the deep slate secret for Shiny. Shiny's addicted to deep slate. Yeah, I love copper because of the copper lightning rod. I think that's a significant change to the game, because it actually is a really nice block to use for creative purposes. CT! 19 months! 19 months of Banana Boy. Baby. What do you want? You're pacing around my room, okay? What do you want? What? I'm trying to play Minecraft, okay? I'm trying to play Minecraft. I can't be petting a cat the entire time I'm playing Minecraft. Okay? I'm not a hatter. I can't play Minecraft one-handed. It is the same blocks as Blackstone. That's really nice. Oh, this is looking, we have some food. We don't have any food. The spyglass is the best glass, okay, guys? Spyglass glass, best glass. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Minecraft, your craft. Is that how it works? Cbones said earlier that he's waiting to see all the new blocks. Yeah, I love the new blocks. I think Deep Slate is perhaps one of the best blocks been added to the game in a while. $10 from Cbones. Cbones, you're too kind, buddy. Thank you. And many of the blocks appear different on each face so that there's more than 12 variants. Exactly. They do appear different on every face, right? So it's like the super block. Like this block here, this is the tiled version of the regular block, right? So they do have a lot of versions. So you got the cobble Deep Slate. That's actually really cool. I love the cobble. The cobble will look great for roads and stuff like that. Imagine a really dark road, you know, perfect for someone's evil lair. This one's okay. I kind of like this one because it's got a creeper face on it, right? There's a couple other blocks with creeper face looking things on them. Like sandstone. So it could work with that, but I don't see me using that very often. Kind of want to replace it on the road with CC with it. You could replace the sidewalks with Deep Slate. Maybe the sidewalks would look great. What do you guys think? Or maybe, you could replace the regular road with it, maybe. Because it's got slabs, right? Right now on CourageCraft, we're using concrete, aren't we not? Let's hop over there for a second. We're just doing whatever today. We'll be playing on SlackVille. But I want to hop over to CourageCraft because that's where I've been playing a little bit lately. Let's see. The floors on CourageCraft in the spawn city, which I want to be able to stream maybe sometime later this week and work on. The roads are made out of black concrete, I think. Right? And maybe we could replace that with a Deep Slate variant. Oh, did I just get shot? He got me. Slowness. Rude. I don't need this. But, we could replace it with Deep Slate, and Deep Slate has slabs and stairs, right? Unlike concrete, which doesn't. Which is a shame. Why don't they add concrete, stairs, and slabs, okay? All these stone variants have slabs and stairs. And concrete is just stone and glass combined together, okay? That's all concrete really is. So why can't it have... Or stone and sand, sorry. Stone and sand combined together to create concrete, okay? So why can we not have stair and slab versions of concrete? You know, a concrete slabs is a thing in real life. What are you doing, cat? What are you doing? I'm trying to do something. Hugs, hello, dear Sage. How are you doing? Fortune plus raw ore blocks is really... Yeah, the raw ore blocks are amazing. Oh, everyone's waving at me. Hi. Hi, guys. Hi, CourageCraft. Yeah, we'll be streaming here. Oh, gosh, I am moving fast. That was really fast. Yeah, she's scratching. What are you doing? She's looking up at me from around the corner behind my desk. She's like, I'm not doing anything. And then she goes back to being mischievous. What are you doing? What is this? Why do you have a bag back there? What are you doing? Cats and bags, I'm telling you. They're obsessed. Where are you going? Over by the cat treats. Is that the bag you were in? Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is. I keep cat treats in a bag, and she's like, I got it down, Pat. I know where you're hiding them. You can't keep it hidden from me. She says you're betting as he looked at her and said her... I did look at her and say her name. I did. That was the mistake. I looked at my cat and said her name, and now I am indebted to her for all eternity. Oh, this is CourageCraft, my patron server, but we use the light gray... No, gray concrete powder, right, for the roads. But they don't have slab variants, which is a shame. I think they should. And... What are you doing now? Don't scratch my computer. Hey, dear CT and Skull, says Cannon. I'm doing fantastic. But if we replace this with deep slate, right? I keep distracting myself. But if we replace this concrete powder with deep slate, right? I think it could look really nice. Depending on what variety we go for, you know? If we look, again, deep slate, right? Maybe the tile. The tile make like a really good black brick road, right? I mean, that's not entirely realistic. Or maybe, like... Maybe it could be an asphalt road, right? Because I think this would be asphalt, right? The gray concrete powder would be an asphalt. And maybe we could pretend this is an asphalt as well, right? The tile slab. And the deep slate tile, right? And then we could maybe smooth this road out a little bit. What do you think, Skull? Skull is in charge with roads, if you don't know. So, even their cobbled slabs. Yeah, the cobbled slabs look really nice, right? I mean, look at that. I think that looks way better than regular cobblestone. And like I said, deep slate is going to cover like 20% of the world, maybe 20 to 40% of the entire Minecraft world. So you're going to run into a lot of it. It's slightly slower to mine. Oops, slightly slower to mine than stone is, regular stone. But there's so much of it, right? And it's such a nice block. I think it's in a lot of ways better than. Excuse me, I mean, better than regular stone. And there's so much of it. I think it's going to be really fun, a lot of fun to use, you know. Unlike something like concrete where you have to sort of grind for it, I think you're just going to end up getting lots of deep slate by accident, you know, the same way you get lots of stone if you're mining, you know. Stone, it's going to be everywhere. So I think once the update in October or December drops, the one where they're going to change the generation of the world and finally add mountains and caves to the game, we're going to see an explosion in the number of people using that block, right? Right now, it's only little pockets, sort of like andesite, right, towards the bottom of the world. Andesite, diorite, or granite, right, these little round pockets at the bottom of the world. But eventually, it'll cover, like I said, a substantial portion of Minecraft, right? It'll be everywhere. If you dig deep down into the world, bottom of the world, you're going to run into it all the time. It's everywhere. You can test after streaming creative. Yeah, we can test after streaming creative. That's easy. Yeah. CT's waving at a cannon. Yeah, I think deep slate's gonna be so nice, right? Right now, I don't have any deep slate, though. Because these chunks are old, and I don't know where there are new chunks to mine for deep slate. Maybe I'll talk to T-Man. Maybe I'll ask him. Because I might want to go mine in for some deep slate and some copper and stuff like that. I mean, copper is not too hard to get. Right? You can actually get a lot of it. The reason I like copper is because it's a block that changes color. And it's one of the few orange blocks in the game. And it's got a really nice blue color when it's oxidized, so... Hello, Relic! How is the Relic doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, what are we doing? Well, I was talking about copper. I was kind of hoping that we'd run into a drown. And get some copper from it. That's what I did on my personal world. Actually, like, before we log in here, let's log into my personal world. Or maybe, let's log into this world. Real quick. Because I want to say something nice about copper. Since, you know, this is the first stream back. Let's go over here. Yeah, this is my, this is a creative copy of my personal world, right? Where I plan all my builds. This is actually the palace. It appears in my intro sequence, right? And I'm now in the process of turning it into structure files. So then I can use Hatter's pack to actually build this in survival. So, it's made a lot of progress. This is what I've been working on when I wasn't streaming, you know. Whenever I was feeling good enough to be at the computer, but not good enough to talk or stream. I was working on this. And one of the things that I noticed with copper the other day, thanks to someone named Metsplay, is that that's not called copper. It's called lightning rod. Is the lightning rod actually looks really good in a lot of different ways uses, right? It's really nice because it prevents your wood buildings from being burned down, and I've used it extensively on the survival version of this world. But one of the other things it can be really useful for is I found actually in the stem of like indoor potted plants, right? It kind of is like almost glowing. If you look at the lightning rod, it kind of glows a little bit, almost. But it works great in this capacity. But something else it works great for that my friend Metsboy showed me is this is a grandfather clock. And if we use it, we can actually use it as the pendulum for the clock now. Before I was using blackstone walls as like the pendulum. But now we could use copper. This lightning rod is the pendulum. I'm actually going to make a video on this. I have so many designs for furniture and other things like that. Super? I've seen you before, but I have no idea how to pronounce your name, and I apologize. Thank you for coming in. What kind of cheese is copper? I think it's a burnt cheese. Honestly, I think it's like a burnt cheddar, you know? You were using it to make some grilled cheese, and you accidentally overcooked it. That's what happened, you know? Right there. And then, of course, everyone knows that cheddar ages into blue cheese. Right? It ages into blue cheese. Everyone knows this. It all makes sense, guys. Oops. Sorry, cat. Oh, no. Sorry. I just dropped something on my cat. That's fine. I love the follower message. Yes, welcome to the Fearless family, indeed. We're a family around here. What is it, baby? What? I know, I accidentally dropped that in your head. I'm sorry. It was a little box of cat treats. I know. You thought you had hit the mother load, but you can't have them. I had to keep the cat treats up way above her head because she... She just attacked me! What are you doing? Okay, you are feeling very finicky today. I'm just saying, okay? It's not yours. I mean, it kind of is yours because they're cat treats, but not right now. You can't have the whole bag. You weigh 400 pounds. Lurk, hunger has overcome me, says Skull. Moly, burnt... I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is, right? Yeah, I love copper. It comes out in all these nice forms. My favorite is the cut copper. Or not the cut copper, the regular block, right? I was actually thinking of using this for the roof of this building. This is a palace with a copper roof. But the problem was, I tried it out. It's just too blue, actually. Or, I mean, too green. The problem is it's too green for my taste, right? Like, if we place the roof with that. It's just a little too green for me. I love the blue of the blue terracotta for the roof, right? You can scrape off the penicillin with an axe. You can! You can scrape off the penicillin with an axe. You really can. Yeah, the raw copper stuff and the raw ores, I love it. It's so much easier to get lots of iron or gold or whatever. It actually makes most farms that give you gold, copper, and iron obsolete. Or in the case of copper, totally useless because, you know, they didn't exist before the update. Because you could just get so much of it from mining, you know. And it actually makes mining really fun, too. I'm really excited for when the caves to come up. Because I was mining on CourageCraft, my other server, with some friends. And we were having a lot of fun. I need to reposition myself in my chair. Are you going to tag me again, cat? Rude. I know. How could I take those treats away from you? They were within your grasps. Okay, I have a story about my cat. I know you can't see her, but I have this big box of treats on my desk. It's a big plastic box, right? This is why I don't use plastic boxes anymore. Because she climbed on my desk, knocked it off my desk, and then she pushed over a really big calculus textbook and crushed the can, the little plastic tin can thingamajig, and it squished all the treats out. And I came in my room and they were laying all over the floor, and she was happy as could be, eating them as fast as possible. She stole as many treats as she could. I'm telling you, she's a fiend. So now I use the little plastic ones that you seal, because she doesn't have thumbs. Thank goodness! If cats had thumbs, it would be the end of the world. I just wanted to show off this, because one of the ways that I've been getting copper, other than mining it, is just by killing drowned. Just if you live near a river. It takes a while, but if you just want to get a couple lightning rods, which I need to prevent all my wood buildings from burning, on the survival version of the Palace world, I find it's really easy just to get some copper from drowns. You know, I've been farming trees and vines and stuff. They keep wandering over here, and I've got enough copper to build three lightning rods. And in survival, I'm telling you right now, if you build out of wood or wool or anything that burns, use lightning rods. You will not regret it. Because you will regret when your building's burnt down and all your villagers get turned into witches. Which is definitely not happened to me. No. I would not say that all my villagers got turned into witches and I lost half of my half of my sheep because they also got struck by lightning and I also got struck by lightning. I wouldn't say that, but if I did, I would highly recommend using lightning rods if you have buildings made of wood or anything like that. Just my personal recommendation. We were back walking the dog. Okay. Have fun with it. Now, where were we? We're going to be playing SlackVille today because I haven't been on here in a while. And we've been working on some mega projects here. They need a little bit attended to, you know. We have this big mountain thing over there made of basalt. We have this beautiful hotel here. And we have the maze. Right? And we also have some smaller projects around here. Like this building, which eventually will be my nether portal. And things of that nature. Right? Actually, the last time we were on SlackVille, quite a while ago, we were picking the roof for this building, because I wanted it to be like a red clay roof. Like in a more traditional Roman or Greek style kind of thing, with the red clay. And we're going to build that building. We're not doing that right now, though. What we're going to do is we're going to place some basalt. Well, and I'll tell you guys some stories, because, you know, since I have been streaming, I've been learning, you know, absorbing the knowledge. And I actually have a really funny story that I learned from history, right? I should have brought pictures, you know. I should have made it like a presentation, you know, because this kind of story was actually really hilarious to me for some reason. So as we're placing blocks, I'm gonna tell you guys some stories. Are you ready? So for some fearless stories? They're not fearless stories in the traditional sense. More like things that I have learned about real life that I find highly amusing. Okay. So my first question for all you guys is: have you ever seen a castle in real life? Have you ever seen a castle in real life? Because I have. I live in the United States, and we don't got castles, you know. But if you live in Europe, or the Middle East, or even some parts of Africa, Japan, you can run into castles quite frequently, actually. You know? Castles were a big part of history. So big, in fact, they were built everywhere, you know? Out of wood, out of stone. They were huge, gigantic undertakings. Used by kings and lords and nobles and rich people all over the place to defend themselves. To make their home, but also to project power. You know, so they wouldn't be robbed or raided. And so they could keep their soldiers safe in times of war. Right? You've seen castle ruins? That's cool. I'm jelly. I really am. I've always wanted to see a castle, but I've never seen a castle myself. But I've always been fascinated with them. Very fascinated. Today, many castles litter the world in mostly ruins. Because, you know, after cannons became a thing and explosions started happening, it turns out stone buildings don't fare too well always against those things. Especially the kinds that are like traditional medieval castles. So they stopped building them. But castles were still cool, okay, for a long time. Everyone thought they looked cool. They were points of prestige, right? They were fashionable almost, you know. There's one thing that people really don't understand is architecture of buildings. They're fashion. They really are. They're a fashion statement. That's why wealthy people always build these crazy looking buildings, you know. And why buildings built today look different than buildings built 40 years ago or 100 years ago, right? They're sort of fashion trends. They're slow because buildings take a long time to build, but they do happen, right? So for a long time, these castles, these massive structures made of stone and wood, dominated the landscape. But then they became a little less defensible, right? A little less safe. So instead of being buildings built for safety and security, they started building them because they look cool. Because they were fashion icons, okay, guys? They were architectural monuments of prestige. That's how you showed you were the cool kid, okay? You gotta build a castle. And so castles turned from these big defensible structures with, you know, arrow holes and big grates to keep out bad guys and places to pour down boiling oil and moats and stuff, to like palaces. Like actually, like my palace that I was showing you guys. Eventually, castles transformed from being these big defensible structures to things like this. You know, the big pointy Disney towers, right? Like the Cinderella Castle at Walt Disney World, probably one of the most famous fantasy castles of all time. That's what castles began to look like, right? They started having these pointed roofs. They started looking very fancy. These things, they still considered them the castles when they were built, right? They still would call them a castle, even though we might not. And they treated them like fashion icons. They were icons of prestige. Really wealthy people would build these things to show off how cool they were to everyone else. Look how cool I am. I could build a giant building with all these pointy towers. And one of the most famous real-life castles like this was actually built long after the medieval times, right? Long after the age of castles. Far, 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 far later. Actually, it was only built about 200 years ago. It's this place called Neuschwanstein. I think I'm saying that wrong, but it's a Bavarian German castle. It's actually gorgeous, right? And of course, it was built way after people started building castles to keep you safe, right? They're just built for cool factor, right? And it was actually built by a king, the King of Bavaria in the 1800s. Cabin luck! May the luck of the cabin be on your side. CtClunker. I mean, not CtClunker, Neon, sorry. 55%. Oh, you only got a 65. Cabin luck gives you plus 10% of the cabin. If you guys want me to actually build you something in this world, then that's the thing to do, the cabin. If you get above a 98, I will build you one. There's very true, but not only castles, almost architecture. Yeah, exactly! Right now, I'm kind of talking about castles, but you're right. All architecture is art. I actually wanted to be an architect. I'm not going to be anymore, because I'm in college for something else now. But I wanted to be an architect when I was little. You're 100% right. All architecture is art. All buildings are an art form. From the big, ugly skyscrapers that are big and square to beautiful Gothic cathedrals. They're all the fashion statements, like I said, they're art. Right? They're products of their time. But I was just trying to say how why those fantasy castles came to be, because it's part of my story, right? The fantasy castles sort of became this big way to show how wealthy you were, right? People that lived long after the age of castles wanted to build their own castles, but make them prettier, right? So they built really pointy towers, like the traditional Disney-style castle. Zagattack has subscribed for Tier 1 for 6 months. Thank you so much, Zagattack. How are you doing? Hope you've been doing well. Hello, Fearless One. How are you doing today, buddy? I don't know why I'm reading that so weird. It's like I can't read English. Hello, Fearless One. How are you doing, buddy? There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm doing fantastic. Feel a lot better. I was pretty sick for a while. Couldn't stream. Now I'm doing better. And enjoying every moment of it. We're talking about castles. Massive structures that littered the landscape. Places where you could fortify and defend yourself. And how those things, those bastions of military superiority, transformed into an art form. A way to design buildings, really big buildings, to look really cool, right? And how that became like Disney castles with the big, tall, pointy towers and the really big keeps in the middle, right? Those things didn't exist a long, long time ago. They're sort of an invention after castles stopped being as popular as they were, right? Because castles were, first and foremost, a defensive structure. It was meant to keep you alive when bad guys would come, you know, knocking on your door. But eventually they became the fashion icon, right? For a long time. And our story is set in Neuschwanstein, a castle in Bavaria, built by Ludwig II of Bavaria, right? The second to last king of Bavaria. Yeah, before the kingdom of Bavaria was dissolved at the end of World War I, right? Neuschwanstein is in Bavaria, which is like southwestern Germany, I think. And it's this big, big area where there's lots of forests and valleys. And towards the south, there's the beginning of the Alps, the big mountains, right? That make up the middle of Europe. And that's what Bavaria is, right? Bavaria still exists today, of course, because Germany still exists. But back then, it was ruled by a king. And part of a kingdom, the kingdom of Bavaria, with a king, right? And this king, he lived long after castles were the big thing, right? Long after castles were the popular item of choice for defense. But he still wanted a castle, you know, he's a king. He wanted his castle, a palace, as you would call it. And that castle still exists today, like I said, Neuschwanstein. Let's actually search it up so I can post the name of it in chat. Because this is the setting of our story, right? Goodness. I cannot say German to save my life. I did practice German when I was little. Castle in Bavaria. I'm not going to even type it out. In Bavaria. The Castle of Bavaria. If you search Castle Bavaria, you're going to come up with the name of this castle. Because it is the inspiration for almost all castles that you will see today. So today I opened up a piece of Dove chocolate candy. And those are the types of candies that have inspiration messages on the inside of the wrapper. And guess what mine said? It said, be fearlessly authentic. Exactly. Don't be afraid to be yourself. That's a good message. That's part of me being Mr. Fearless. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Even if who you are is strange or different from everyone else, it's okay to be a little different. It's okay to be you. Never forget that. My coffee's almost gone. Now, what was strange about this was I just read to you about going live on Twitter and reached into my bag key and he pulled that out. I kid you not. It's the Fearless luck, I'm telling you. This week is Fearless Week in the Discord as well. If you guys don't know, I do have a Discord. Let's see, where's the button? There it is. I do have a Discord. Come hang out. If I'm not streaming or if I'm having health problems or other things have come up, that's the place to find me. I've been pinging somewhere. The Discord is the best Discord. I'm actually in my Discord right now. So if you can't watch the stream for whatever reason, but you can listen, because I'm just telling a story right now, you can always hang in the Discord and listen to my voice chat. Shiny for 14 months on a 13-month streak. Thank you so much, Shiny. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, dears and darlings. Hello, Shiny. Oh, I need more basalt. So, our setting is Neuschwanstein Castle. It lists as a Discord. Germany still exists, I know, right? All the greatest hot takes. No, creeper! No. Mm-mm. We can't have you here. Bad. How am I supposed to tell a story when I keep things try to kill me, okay? This is getting hard, guys, okay? Why is Minecraft so much harder than I remember? You know, I was living peacefully, playing my Minecraft, trying to tell a story, and then the creepers, they come out of nowhere. I would like to add Fisherman's Bastion in Budapest as an example of a beautiful structure with defensive purpose. I would look that up. I'm going to save that one for later. Like, last time I looked, it is... What are we looking at? The Germany's real? Yeah, it's real. I had to double check, you know. I want to know how the creeper spawned in there. I don't know how it spawned in there. Next to all those glowstone? I don't know. I'm telling you guys, creepers have magical powers. They know when you're not paying attention, and they know when to strike. They can actually coordinate their strikes, you know. They're like an elite force, you know. They're like the SAS or the Navy SEALs. They train for hours on end, and then they hit you at full force. You know, they'll tag team you. You know, you get hit by one creeper, and you'll back up and run into another. That's how they work. That's how they roll. Quite literally. Yes, yes. So Neuschwanstein Castle is literally the inspiration for almost all Disney castles, or any fantasy castle you've ever seen. Hogwarts is inspired by Neuschwanstein, this particular castle I'm talking about. The Disney castle that you'll see when you go to Disney World, any of the Disney parks, they all have a castle now, I think. And the one castle you'll see in any of the Disney movies that dealing with castles, the beginning of a lot of Disney movies will have the castle at the beginning, especially the older ones. Like a 3D animated render of a castle. The big, tall, pointy towers, and it's like very tight together. That style of castle was inspired by this Neuschwanstein Castle, right? So anytime you watch a Disney movie, or anytime you go to a Disney theme park, or, you know, anytime you learn about a property that has castles in it, like those big, tall, fantasy, super-looking, pointy castles, those are all inspired by a real castle in real life, right? This castle was not even built that long ago. Like, just over 100 years ago. I think. Yeah, just over 100 years ago. And in the late 1800s, in the lifetime of, you know, maybe our great-grandparents, or your great-great-grandparents, you know, or maybe if you're a little older, your grandparents, right? So not that long ago, right? It's in not living memory, but it's long enough ago that you could probably talk to the kids of people who built the castle, right? Which is different for most other of these old structures, because they're so old that nobody knows who really built them, right? No one knows the families that are alive today that built them, for the most part, for most of these structures. Most of them are ancient and in ruins, and we just have a little bit of history of most castles, right? Very few castles have significant history with them, where we know almost everything about them, especially the really old ones, because there were so many of them, you know? But this particular castle, it was not that long ago. And it's what inspires most of the Disney castles you see today. So I was reading up on it, because, you know, I learned about it because I was in a German castle when I was little. And it's just such an interesting structure, you know? It's big, pointy, fancy looking. It's actually a beautiful castle. And I was reading about the dude who built that castle, Ludwig II of Bavaria. Very interesting fellow, you know? As many kings and queens are, they're pretty eccentric, so a little strange. And this particular fellow, he has such an interesting story. I would never think it to be that way, you know? And he's actually the center of the story I'm going to tell you guys. Creepers actually just puppy dogs, and they're so happy to see you. They explode! Well, can we tame them so they don't explode? Castle of Bavaria, never heard of it. I know, it's crazy. So, this dude, the Ludwig II, he was building lots of these structures, right? These palaces and castle-like structures all over Bavaria. And he was using so much money that he put the Kingdom of Bavaria in debt. He was actually not taking debt from the country. He was using his own personal funds, but he kept taking loans out from the Bank of Bavaria, the bank of his own kingdom. And he wasn't paying them back. And he was causing quite the stir because he kept taking out loans and loans and loans and spending so much money. In fact, that castle, the one he built, was the biggest construction project in the entire region during the entire time it was being constructed. And it's actually never been finished. The castle was never finished because he died. And, right, like, there were so many people involved in the construction. The whole area was, like, dedicated to it, right? It had all these big rooms. It actually was funny because it's so big on the inside. There's so many big rooms that there's actually very few rooms to, like, sleep in. There's very few places to live in inside the castle. It's such a weird building. And so he was taking out these massive loans, and he was making the Bavarian leadership, other than himself, of course, because he's the king, very angry because he was spending so much money. And they told him, well, you got to pay up, okay, bud? This is expensive. And he told them that he would kill himself if they came to take his money. And so they didn't really know what to do. But so some people in his family and some other leaders of Bavaria decided to remove him from power. So they had a doctor who he had never met before declare him insane and try to stage a coup on him. And of course, he's still running around trying to build this castle. And he's freaking out because he's running out of money. And nobody's giving him money to build these buildings, right? These projects are stalling, right? Because he's not only building this castle, he's building other palaces all over, all over the countryside. Spending so much money, right? And he's just hemorrhaging money everywhere. And it got to the point where they staged a coup against him. They removed him as king, right? That's how bad it was, you know? And so they staged a coup. They declared him insane. And then they went to the Neuschwanstein castle to arrest him, right? So here you are, a bunch of tax collectors coming to arrest the king of your own country with a couple of guards. And they go up to the castle and knock on the door. And then gunfire erupts from the building. This castle is a fantasy castle. It's not built for defense, right? It's just a little palace. It looks pretty, right? Gunfire opens up from the building, and police come out from all sides to arrest the tax collectors. And the King of Bavaria is calling on aid of his people to save him. Because they're trying to arrest him. He says they're usurpers, right? So he calls on local police to come and arrest them. And a bunch of them get put in prison, right? And so now it's like a Bavarian civil war over some random big castle, right? He just arrested a bunch of tax collectors. This king guy sounds a lot like someone I know. I don't know who he talked about. Yeah, he really did feel the economy, actually. He had a lot of stonemasons and construction workers working on the castle at all times. It was like most of his lifespan, he had people working on that structure because it was never finished. And, okay, do you want out, cat? Is that what you want? There you go. There you go. Gondor calls for... Yeah, exactly! He started calling for help, right? He started freaking out because I think it was his uncle was the one that was behind this, that was trying to get him usurped, right? He's like, I'm going to be in charge now. You know, we'll just declare him insane because he's spending all this money. And, you know, the rest of his family is lied to, saying he was insane because he actually hadn't been interacting with his family very much. So they had no idea what was going on. And so he starts freaking out. He starts calling for help. He writes an official decree. He starts asking for help. They block it. You know, they try to hide the fact that he's asking for help. The local police come to his aid, start guarding this castle. Again, this castle is not built for defense. It's not like those imposing fortresses, right, that are built to defend to the last man. It's just a fancy-looking building. It's just a pretty building. And he's just arrested a bunch of tax collectors. They're coming to make him pay his bills. And so the tax collectors, they don't know what to do. A bunch of them are in jail now. They had to run away. They're being shot at. And, like... So the next day, they come back to arrest him again, right? And the ones that were put in jail escaped. They escaped from jail because they didn't know what was going on. The police were like, "What? You weren't supposed to be arrested? Is the king really been usurped? Is it all over?" So the police are freaking out. They don't know what they're doing. You know, the king said arrest these guys, and they did. And now they don't know what's going on. And so they come back, right? And they assault the castle again. The great assault of the Neuschwanstein castle. And out, okay, so this is like the scene from like a Resident Evil video game. That's how I imagine it. They walk up to the big doors in front of the palace, the Neuschwanstein castle, and they're coming to arrest him again, right? And all of a sudden, the doors open up, and this lady with an umbrella, a countess, right, that actually died later in a duel, comes out with like an umbrella gun and starts fighting off the tax collector. And the door closes behind her. She's like a final boss in a video game. She comes out beating up the tax collectors and the policeman that came with them to arrest the king. And a doctor. There was a doctor there as well. The doctor that declared him insane that he had never met before. He was there as well, and he got hit in the face with an umbrella. And she beats them all up, right? She beats them up so bad, she's able to run back inside the castle and tell the king who they were, because she recognized them. She knew who it was. It was, the doctor was the leader of the Munich Asylum, right? Another city in Germany. And the king is like freaking out. What do I do? They're assaulting my castle. So like I said, she run back in, right? Her umbrella, she got up some shots, she beat up some policemen and tax collectors. She got back inside, and the king of Bavaria is freaking out. He's like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, he starts calling for help, but they keep blocking his calls for help. They keep destroying his mail he sends out. Right? He's sending decrees out, declaring, basically declaring that there's a civil war going on. And they keep blocking it, because they're not letting him communicate outside the castle. It's like a siege, right? And this is funny because sieges like this don't happen all that often, This is like medieval stuff that's happening basically in the modern day, right? They have guns and stuff. This is like right before World War I, right? And so this fantasy castle that wasn't built for defense, it's just built to look pretty, is under siege by tax collectors. He has a few loyal policemen and guards that are trying to protect him and fend off these tax collectors, and a countess that comes out with an umbrella gun to beat up the tax collectors. And he tries to escape, right? He tries to flee the castle, but before he can, because the walls weren't finished, the castle, they sneak inside the tax collectors. Those sneaky tax collectors. They know all the secret entrances. They sneak inside, and then they're able to capture him when he's alone, and they take him prisoner. And it's all over for poor Ludwig now because they got him, right? The countess flees. The castle's abandoned. The siege is over. The king of Bavaria has fallen. He's taken to an asylum, the Munich Asylum, because he's been declared insane. And he keeps telling everyone, I'm not insane, I'm not insane. They're lying. I've never met this doctor in my life. How can he declare me insane? But no one listened, because he's spending too much money. He put the entire kingdom in debt building this castle. And now he's all alone without friends, because the rest of his friends were kicked out, right? It was funny, because the countess that saved him wasn't even German. She was Russian. She was just visiting for a party, and she came out to defend it with an umbrella gun outside the castle. So the king of Bavaria, he has another trick up his sleeve, okay? He's not giving up, okay? It's not over for King Ludwig. Well, not yet, anyway. So he's talking to the asylum director, the man that they kind of forced to declare him insane, this very famous doctor at the time. And he's like, yo, can you get me out of Bavaria? Can we escape? Can I come back and avenge the fallen? The umbrella lady, those poor policemen that tried to save my life. Can I fight back? And they're having secret talks. He's trying to regain his scholarship, He's like, I'm really wealthy. I'm the king of Bavaria, I got some ties. I could do well for you, okay? So the director of the Munich hospital is talking to him. And they decide to go on a stroll outside the building together. And the director says, oh, it's okay. We don't need any guards. We'll be back later today. They left, and then it starts storming. A really bad storm, right? The kind of storm that you better be locked in a castle somewhere deep in the inside, because it's flooding. Rain down everywhere. It's a downpour. You can only see a couple feet in front of you. The fog is so thick. And they don't come back. The king of Bavaria, the former king of Bavaria, because he's been usurped, and the director of this hospital, this asylum, has gone missing. They did not return when they said they would. And the rain was too strong to send out patrols to find him. So later the next day, when the raining subsides, the asylum starts freaking out because, their most important prisoner. How tall is this wall? This is gonna be a mountain when I'm done. Their most important prisoner is missing, and so is the director of the hospital. Right, the most important guy in the hospital is gone. What do we do? They start freaking out. How do we lose the king of Bavaria? How do you lose a king? How do you lose him, right? So they send patrols out everywhere, looking for him, searching for this fella. Where did they go? How could they have escaped? Right? And the current king, right, the usurper, he's freaking out too. How could this dude escape? How could he escape my grasp? I was this close to having the kingship all to myself. Okay. And then it's discovered. So in some ditch, randomly, in the middle of nowhere, the king and the doctor are both dead, laying in the ditch. They've been killed. Possibly drowned. Maybe even shot in the back. Assassins had killed the former king of Bavaria and his doctor in broad daylight, in the middle of a storm, in the afternoon. And then dumped them in a ditch. The king is dead. He's gone. And his murder, his death, and the death of the doctor remain unsolved to this day. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows who had him killed. There was no evidence of a scuffle. There was no evidence that something had gone wrong. They were just both dead in a ditch in the middle of nowhere in Bavaria. And so ends the crazy tale of King Ludwig II of Bavaria. But wait, there's more, because the castle he built still exists to this day. Neuschwanstein Castle is a real place. And this story really did happen. He was real. And that castle, although it was never really finished, is actually one of those famous castles in the world. You know, you may not know its name because it's a German, but it's the inspiration for most fantasy castles, right? Because it was made so recently compared to most of the castles, but, you know, just long enough ago to be still quite a while ago. It's actually, like, one of the most recent really big castles ever built, right? And even though it was never completed, it became the inspiration for most every fantasy castle ever built, or designed, or imagined. Hogwarts takes inspiration from Neuschwanstein. The Disney castles do. A lot of those fancy, tall-pointed tower castles do. Because it had such tall towers, right? Like I said, it was only made just over 100 years ago. So they had modern construction techniques, and they could make it taller than most of the historic castles were. And because it wasn't a defensive structure, right? It was never supposed to come under siege. And I thought it was hilarious. The moral of the story, don't build castles. I guess so. I just thought it was crazy, you know? I never knew that this is what happened. It is a big tourist spot. It's a huge tourist spot. I never knew this happened. You know, I was completely oblivious to the amazing story of the king of Bavaria and his loyal followers that fought off tax collector. I think the tax collectors had him killed. That's my suspicion. He owed too much money. He owed way too much money, like millions and millions and millions of. I think they're francs. Don't inherit castle either. Those, yeah, they cost a lot of money. Their castles are a bit of a grind. So how do you guys like my story? Okay, I learned that not too long ago, and I thought it was so hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing as I was reading it, you know, because it just kept getting funnier and funnier. You know, I didn't even know about the part with the umbrella until I kept reading more. The umbrella lady. And it's true. She came out of the front gates of the castle with an umbrella to attack a bunch of tax collectors. She wasn't even German. She wasn't from Bavaria. She was just there for a party. And she defended the king of Bavaria. She would, the lady that fought with the umbrella, she would go on later to die in a duel, right? It's actually very rare for women to die in duels, especially that long ago. And even rarer still for those kind of duels to end up killing people in such recent history, right? Duels were more popular way, way long ago, right? And they started dying off in the late 1800s, right? And that's how she died. She died in a pistol duel. She was a pretty crazy woman. A miniature model of Bavarian chocolate. Maybe she was the inspiration for the big vampire lady in the new Resident Evil game. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. I couldn't believe my eyes when I read that there was an epic battle with an umbrella outside of a castle just over 100 years ago. I couldn't believe it. Apparently it happened, though. Apparently it was real. They were like unsounds like something from an iron. I know it does, doesn't it? I don't know. It was. I don't know what to say other than that's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Okay, and like I said, this isn't just like any old castle. This is literally the inspiration for almost any fantasy castle. The big, tall, pointy ones, like castles that look like this, right? Let's all get out of SlackVille for a second and get an advertisement for buying things in the marketplace. If we go to my personal creative world, right? This castle is sort of inspired by those fancy. It's not this isn't a castle; it's a palace, right? But back in the day, they might have called it a castle with its tall turrets, right? These tall towers, right? Those kind of tall towered castles were inspired by this castle, right? This isn't just some nobody castle. And it isn't one that fell apart either. It still exists. Almost fully intact. You know, it survived World War I, World War II. And like some people were saying, you could still go there and get some gift shop stuff. They're actually trying to make one during Mythbusters. They can be real. Yeah, umbrella guns and sword guns were real. They actually did exist. They weren't explicitly popular, but they did exist. Even axe guns, you know, you have an axe and you have a gun inside the handle. Those things were real. You know? Actually, umbrella guns were advertised to wealthy people who wanted to defend themselves, like women, right, who might be at odds with a really strong buffy attacker, right? Having a hidden weapon might be able to save your life, right? And installing it in the hilt of a cane or a sword or an axe or an umbrella could save your life if you needed it, right? Get some bandits. And like I said, they did exist. So, because you think they're like someone said that sounds like something from an Ian Fleming novel, right? Like James Bond kind of stuff. But they were real, right? And so were suitcase guns as well. Suitcase guns were real. Like having a gun inside of a suitcase. I kept reading the story about him, and then I found out he died under mysterious circumstances, and nobody found out who killed the king, right? How many kings do you know of in history? Deaths remain unsolved, right? Or where they try to cover it up, how they died. Almost every time the king dies like that, you know, or someone important, it's always a source of conspiracy. You know, people don't stop talking about it. But I never heard of this guy and how he died. You know. Considering they only died 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. It's absolutely mind-boggling, you know? Why aren't they writing movies about this stuff? Where's the movie with the killer umbrella? I'm just saying, okay? Where's the movie with the killer martial artist with an umbrella? Trying to defend the king of Bavaria from tax collectors. Okay? Buffy attackers have things to do, like hunting bloodsucking vampires. I don't know. Maybe the king of Bavaria was killed by a vampire, you know? Because they said that they found blood on his neck, so maybe a vampire came to kill him, you know? Vampire debt collectors. Not only are debt collectors blood-sucking vampires by default, but they're actually bad blood-sucking vampires in Bavaria, apparently. I don't know, it was such a good story. It was such a good story, and I had to share it with you guys. Now what other stories that I have? Because I had another one that I was reading about that I thought was hilarious. Not as hilarious as the king of a country fighting off tax collectors outside his fantasy castle with with the countess with the gun umbrella. But are there any other kind? That's a good question. Are there? I don't think so. I think that's who killed him though, because he owed so much money, and there's no way he's ever gonna pay it back. And if he was gonna escape, you know, try to usurp the throne again, they weren't gonna let that happen. And it's weird because they really didn't investigate his death either too well, you know. They really didn't do much work to try to figure out who killed him. Because it wasn't just him that died, it was a very famous doctor at the time, you know? A leading medical expert in Germany. The leader of one of the most important psychiatric hospitals in the country. There's a Dutch expression that says, one can't pluck up old chicken. But I added for tax collectors how to prepare for consumption. It had to be dead tax collectors because there are only two certain things in life: death and taxes. Yeah, and you combine them together, and then you get killed by your taxes. So I know I didn't say it because someone asked a little bit earlier. But what am I building? Well, right now I'm not building a castle, but I am building a mountain. You know, the update's taking a little too long, so I decided to make my own mountain. That's the plan anyway. Let's take a look at it. Look at that. Doesn't that look cool? I actually really like the basalt. How high is it right now? We should check. I haven't really paid attention because I was too busy talking about, you know, killer tax collectors. But, let's see. Yeah, I think he spent, like, over $250 million today. Like, if he was alive today. Over $250 million of today's money building all these projects, right? And the Kingdom of Bavaria isn't, like, huge. It's just Bavaria, which is a small part of Germany. And, you know, this is right before World War I, right? Right before the King of Bavaria would become an extinct title. Because after the war, all the kings were kind of made extinct. So, looks epic. Oh, thank you. Hello, Mumsywiggly stuff. That's one epic mountain. No, thank you, thank you. We're working on it very hard. We're gonna take it up really tall as well. Let's see. I need to see how tall it is right now. We might have to take it in a bit more, because it's sort of looking like more like a cliff than a mountain right now. But that's kind of how I want it to be, because it's not just a mountain; it's also gonna be a volcano when it's done. I think we'll have lava pouring down the sides and stuff like that. Let's see. So right here, which looks like about the average height of all these pillars here, it's 156 blocks tall. So we still have like 100 blocks to go before we hit normal world height limit. We got plenty of space. So we need to take this in a little bit more so we can have like a caldera, which is like the center of the volcano. Or if it hadn't erupted for a long time, it might be sunken in, right? And I think we would put a city up here as well. Because I think this is going to be like Mount Olympus with a city at the top. I think it'll look really nice. Oh, no. I think it'll look really nice when it's done. Right. And you can see how big it's going to be, right? Normal world height limit. Yeah, you know, normal world height limit, 240. Yeah, someday it's going to be like over 300, so. You can see how big it's going to be. See, we only done a small portion of it, right? And that's like 30 shulker boxes of basalt right there. You know, it's funny, because there's nothing big next to it. It's really hard to see how big it is unless we sit on the ground. Like, if we go down here, you can kind of see how big it is, right? This is Y70. And it goes from all the way over there. It's about, maybe 100 blocks. Okay, so it's Y140, 6 from 70, so that's almost, that's 70 blocks. So it's a big boy. Yeah, we're going high with this one. Go big or go home is what I always say. Yeah, I love learning about castles. Castles are really cool because they're designed to kill you. They are designed to kill you. I think right here we're gonna have a pathway that goes up the side of the mountain, so I don't want to. I'm gonna be careful here. You know what? Actually, let's design that. Let's do some design work, guys. Let's design the ramp that's going to go up the side of the mountain, right? Because I would love for there to be a way to walk, or ride a horse, or whatever, to get to the top, right? To where the city will be, or the little village we're going to build at the top. The Olympic Village. At the top of the mountain. Fearless, aren't you home already? Home is where the heart is. And if the heart is made of cheese, then you're always home. So I think we might work on the path here. I don't know what I want to make the path out of. You know, deep slate. You know what? Deep slate. Deep slate. We could use the path and make it out of deep slate to go around the building. Or the mountain. No, building mountain, I guess the same thing. We could use the deep slate to take it around the mountain, because it'll be similar color to the basalt. I don't have any right now, but that won't be hard to get. We'll just need quite a bit of it, because the mountain's gonna be big. And we'll sort of circle our way around the mountain, right? I think before we go any higher, yeah, we're definitely got to work on the pathway going around. Now, how wide should it be is the real question. What do you guys think? Let's just use regular basalt to prototype our path. That was the word I was looking for. We could use regular basalt to prototype our path going up the side of the mountain. I think that'll work out. Okay, Fearless? I know, right? I am okay. I'm better than okay. I'm cheesy. So, I think this little mountain... No, it's not a mountain. I call everything a mountain in Minecraft, I guess. But this little hill here, where we perfect place to place the ramp, right? We're going to have the pathway coming from in front of our hotel there. Going this way and curving in here, I think. Or maybe we'll curve it in sooner, going up the side here. Build to the top of a volcano. Yeah, nothing could go wrong. Just ask... oh, that was the story I wanted to tell, guys. Since we're building a volcano today, I wanted to tell you about one of the most famous volcanic eruptions in European history, and probably perhaps in world history. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius. They destroyed Pompeii and Herculaneum in Rome. I've not seen a wandering trader. In fact, I really haven't seen much of anything. I've not seen any cows or pigs spawn over here, just chickens, so no. Actually, where are the cows and chickens? Oh, they're in. I see that over there. But they're not spawning over there. I don't know what's going on. Some of the areas look like they're not spawning anything. Like over here, this area is all spawnable area for like passive mobs, but I never see any passive mobs over here at all in this very wide area around this building. I don't know what's going on. Over here, because I've never really been over here much until I start building this. I'll see them here, but I never see them over here. Like, this is massive area. That's four... no, that's like 5 chunks by 5 chunks big, right? So, I don't know. And I haven't seen a water trade at all. Maybe they're inside the mountain. Maybe! I don't know. Name tag, team dogs, or maybe taking up the cat. Maybe they are. Maybe... Pillagers don't take up the mob cap, do they? For... Because I do have pillagers over here. Courtesy of Hatter. Do they take up the passive mob camp? I don't know. I forget how the cap works on Bedrock. We got pillagers here. I'd never finished the nacho cheese before. No. Let's see. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. These guys will be the concierges and the regular workers of the hotel. Well, I don't know, because I only have 3 named dogs here. But I never see anything spawn over here. I mean, look. I'm not near anything. I'm only on another server right now. It's just me. And I never see anything spawn in this area. This whole area should, you know, spawn things. There's 1 pig. Right? But there shouldn't be only 1 pig. That's way too low. We know one train has been missing for like 5 months? I'm not sure. I have no idea. That's a shame, because we can't... How do we get the, Isn't there a bunch of blocks only he provides? Right? Hollow space underneath? There is a hollow space underneath that. Because this will be, a maze, right? Like a little thing, like a game. But, I don't think... No, passes won't spawn under here. I don't think. They only spawn where the sky access. On grass, I think. So, if you get your shields... Can you make their vindicators break their axes and make them hat? I would love to do it. That sounds really cool. I have no idea if you could do that in Bedrock. I would love to be able to do that, because I want to have them working in the hotel, right? Sort of like a Hotel California kind of vibe, where we have these very shady-looking individuals working for the hotel. And thankfully, Hatter and Relic have helped me quite a bit collect some of these guys. I would love to be able to de-axify them. But I don't know if that's possible in Bedrock. We'll think about it. We'll keep it in mind. Let's float back to my bed. Did I place that there? I don't know what I just did. You got skelly horses too. Is that a passive mob? Maybe. Four passives. Yeah, these guys take out the passive mob cap, don't they? Them 4. Okay. No, I haven't seen a water trader. I've been on a lookout. I haven't seen him at all. The last time I saw him, I was helping Hatter get a llama to replace Emerald Jade's llama that died. Do we have a bed over here? I thought I had a bed on this little hill here. No, just creepers. Of course, sitting literally where I wanted to land. Let's hope there's no creepers by my bed this time. I think we can nap. Okay, let's go. What was I talking about? I had a story. I forget, though. I keep forgetting the story. Let's see, the last time I was seen. Got me worried. I'm not sure. Pompeii! That's what we were talking about. Pompeii. So, we're building Mount Olympus, right? Mount Olympus is an actual, real... volcano in the real world. That's what this is going to be. But there is a more famous volcano, perhaps, called Mount Vesuvius in Italy during the Roman times that erupted and killed lots and lots of people, right? And not too long ago, I actually watched I actually watched a documentary on one of the sites near Pompeii, a smaller city called Hernaculum, right? And it described in detail what happened to those poor people on that fateful day in, what was it, 80, 90? Like, almost 2,000 years ago when the volcano erupted, right? So that's the story I want to tell, since we're building a volcano right now. And someone else mentioned the city next to a volcano. That couldn't be a bad idea at all, right? And that's what people thought a long time ago. They really didn't know about volcanoes, right? I mean, they knew about mountains that got angry, but that was about it. And that particular mountain, Vesuvius, next to Pompeii, had been angry for a little while before the eruption. There were rumblings coming from the mountain. And they thought it was, you know, their gods. They were angry, so they did whatever they could to appease them, sacrifices and all that. But it didn't seem to make the the rumbling stop from the mountain. And this is a couple decades before it actually erupted, you know. Well, exactly. This is it was actually something they talked about in the documentary I was watching. The soil around Pompeii was super fertile. It was the perfect place to grow grapes. They loved grapes in the ancient world. Grapes are perfect for wine. They're perfect for food. They're sweet, right? They're actually very, very sweet. Right? So, they're perfect to grow all the way around there. And so there's actually a lot of vineyards and reasonably wealthy people near Pompeii that have been growing wine there for, well, most of their lifetimes. Oh yeah, we're going to build a path for me. Grape equals alcohol. It does. And people throughout history have very much liked their alcohol. So it was the perfect place to settle down and build a city. You know, lots of fertile ground. The volcanic ash from, you know, eruptions many years before actually is great for making Roman concrete, right? Like the stuff they made all their buildings out of, right? It's really fine ash, so it works really well in concrete making. So they use a lot of it there, you know. And there's lots of stone that comes from the mountain itself that is unique to a volcano. So it was actually a really popular place to settle down, right? There was 2 cities within very close proximity to this volcano. And you have to understand, these people didn't know volcanoes erupted. You know, maybe they heard stories about this stuff, but, you know, it's basically a folktale to them. Volcanoes take millennia, or even millions of years to erupt sometimes, so they didn't really know any better. And when the mountains started getting angry, they didn't know what was happening. Actually, it's funny. Some local politicians from Pompeii and Herculaneum, the smaller city next to Pompeii, had complained, saying, you know, the volcano's making a lot of noises, and nothing we're doing seems to be making it better. What should we do? You know, they complained to the Roman government. And the Roman government said, don't worry about it. I'm here, it's fine. Sometimes mountains get a little angry, but no, nothing bad ever happens. You know, it'll be fine. Don't worry about the volcano that's really angry right next to you. And so, like I said, for decades, it was getting really angry, right? And, Fearless, tell me what happens to people's necks when they don't get iodized salt. You want me to tell you about goiterism? We can save that for a little bit. So right now we're building a path to go up the side of the mountain. We're making a really ugly path. It's just basic for now, though. This is just to get an idea. So, what slope should we go for? Maybe 2 or 3 blocks. Is T-Man still here? T-Man, I wanted to ask you, is there a place where I could go mining for copper and deep slate? Great storytelling, Mr. Fearless. It's great when I don't get interrupted by either my own actions or the actions of others. Yeah, like I said, they're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just a little volcano. I mean, when was the last time anything went wrong with volcanoes? Like 1,000 years ago? Nothing's gonna go wrong. So, you know, they're all fine. They were worried about it too much. But again, the mountain was getting angry. You know, it was rumbling, and there were earthquakes. Some buildings actually in Pompeii had some serious problems with well, the earthquakes. They kept destroying buildings in the city. And that's actually why they called for help from the Roman government. They actually wanted money. As most small municipalities that are having trouble with massive disasters tend to do. They were asking for help, for financial help, to help repair the buildings and stuff like that. And the Roman government was like, fine, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. So they're doing their own thing, you know, baking pies and all the things humans do, going to the bathroom, eating food. As normal. When one day in AD 90, I believe, the volcano got really angry. really angry. A big puff of smoke went into the sky. Like this massive billowing black cloud came out from the top of the mountain and shook the entire area around it, you know? There were rumors you could feel the explosion from Rome itself, the city of Rome, you know, where all the senators lived. And the people of Herculaneum and Pompeii started freaking out. There was this big black smoke cloud above the volcano. The Roman government actually saw it. Yeah? Mine entrance? Okay, thank you. I'll save that. Let's see, let's copy that. Save it in my section. Let's see. Where's me? So let's go to my secret section of my Discord. That's not the right place. There we go. Mining area Slack. There we go. Saved it. Okay. So there was these massive explosions that completely disrupted all life around the volcano as this big billowing black cloud was looming over the horizon. You know, it literally blotted out the sun. This entire city went dark as the black cloud surrounded the entire city and the entire valley around it. Vineyards stopped working. People started rushing from their homes to take a look at what just happened as the ground began to shake beneath their feet like an explosion of atomic proportions had just occurred. And it literally was that big, right? That's how big it was. It was huge, you know? Volcanic eruptions could be absolutely devastating, you know? For most human history, there was nothing we could do that was bigger and louder than these kind of volcanic explosions, right? It's basically an earthquake, except it's right next to you. So the Roman military was alerted almost immediately. The Navy. Romans were not very good at sailing. You know, you'd think that being next to one of the biggest seas in the world would make them very good at it. But they weren't. They were not good sailors, but they did have a Navy. And the leader of the Navy, the Roman Coast Guard, was a very famous guy, actually, by the name of Pliny the Elder. He's actually a dude that wrote a lot of stuff, you know. He was, like, real famous, like a poet and stuff. He wrote lots of things about lots of things. Like, a lot of our history, we know, a lot of Roman history, we know from this fella, right? He was actually charged in the Navy at the time. And he sent ships immediately to go check out what was happening, because they could see it from the ocean. Because at the time, Pompeii and Herculaneum were actually next to the sea, right? Today, they're not, at all. But back then, they were coastal cities, right? Which was also an advantage they had, because not only was it really fertile there, you know, they grow lots of crops, lots of good stuff, but it was actually a perfect place to send your goods out across the ocean, you know, or across the sea, anyway. And so it was a really big, bustling port city, you know. Lots of who's were there, and with this big explosion, this big black cloud you could see for hundreds of miles, and covered the entire city and the entire volcano, people were really worried. So Pliny the Elder sent out some ships, but he didn't really respond himself. He actually went to his son, or his nephew, I think, Pliny the Younger, and asked him, "Hey, bro, you want to come see this giant volcano that might be world-ending? You know, it might be an apocalypse?" And his nephew was like, "Nah, I gotta go study, you know. Not really interested." So, Pliny the Younger ditched his uncle to go on one of probably the most epic voyages of their lifetime so he could study. He's like, "Nah, fam, I want to go study. Sounds too boring for me, you know, really honor. This giant black cloud is covering, like, a quarter of Italy." Not really that exciting. No, volcanoes do not know subtlety. So, at this time, the people in Herculaneum and Pompeii themselves are really starting to panic, right? They don't know what to do, right? But they've suffered from these earthquakes for a while now, right? And they've been told it's going to be okay. So they're like, maybe we could wait it out, you know? Maybe the mountain will stop being angry after a little while. And they were right, just, you know, a little bit wrong about where the safe spot was from the volcano. So people decided to wait it out. Because Pompeii and Herculaneum were port cities, they actually had lots of buildings along the ocean. They were really sturdy, right? They're meant to store grain. So they were, like, really, really sturdy. And these grain silos were, like, had bolted ceilings and stuff like that, and they're right next to the ocean, right? Facing away from the volcano. So they began evacuating the children and the women and the weak and infirm to these shelters, because the city started to shake and fall apart. Buildings were collapsing, right? And the volcano is a big, ugly black cloud coming at the top. And people started having trouble breathing. And they thought that maybe if they hide away from the black smoke cloud, they might be able to wait it out. So hundreds and hundreds of people descended to the riverside, or the seaside, to hide in these vaults, right? And others were running in the streets. Some people did escape the city, but most people were trapped. They couldn't get far away fast enough, you know? Back then, the fastest you could do was on horse. And even that wasn't really fast enough to escape the wrath of the volcano. So people are panicking, running around. Bakeries are left abandoned. Hello, Red Panda! I mean, it was a great time for studying, great philosopher. Exactly, it was a great time for studying, but I don't know. I kind of would have wanted to go see the volcano. I'm just saying. Or, you know what? Honestly, I would have said no, too, and said, nah, you know what? You go tell me how the volcano was, and if you live long enough to come back and tell me how great it was, then, you know, I'll believe you. Because, spoiler, Pliny the Elder did not live. His little volcanic trip did not go well for Pliny the Elder. So, Pliny was like, you know, we're hearing lots of reports of people panicking and, you know, the big black cloud. So maybe I should go and check on people. Because he had a friend that lived outside of Pompeii in a big villa. Romans used to build these big houses that they called villas, right? They're like country estates where you could go and relax and stay away from all the annoying poor people when you're very wealthy. So he had a friend that was living in his villa at the time outside Pompeii, and it was like right under the ash cloud. So he sent out a personal ship of his to pick him up and take him. I'm talking about the death, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in, I think, 90 AD. So, you know, when Pompeii and Herculaneum were destroyed by a volcano, telling the story. How are you doing, Red Panda? I haven't seen you in a little bit, but no, actually, I did see you in Discord. You've been talking to Discord. How are you doing? Hydrate! You know, it's a good time to hydrate. Cheese of the day! You know, no one redeemed cheese of the day. It's a shame. Today's cheese of the day is burnt cheddar, in honor of Copper. I just drank a big gulp, just for you. So, Pliny the Elder decided to go and save his friend. As other ships of the Roman Navy, which was not very big and not very formidable, were coming to the coast to help evacuate some people, because they started to realize that things were getting bad. Other people decided to stay, because these were their homes, you know? These people have lived their entire lives in the city of Pompeii. They weren't going to abandon it. And this kind of stuff actually happens in real life all the time. Like, during Hurricane Katrina, a lot of people didn't want to leave their homes. You know, they lived there their whole lives. They were going to abandon everything that they had lived for. You know, they hoped that they could wait it out, which is not always the case for these large natural disasters, you know? So, I'm doing fantastic. So, Pliny the Elder makes a run for the city as the ash cloud gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and lava starts running down the sides of the volcano. You can actually see it from many miles away. The red hot lava pulling down the side of the volcano. Thankfully, the cities were far enough away from the volcano that they wouldn't really be covered in lava. Not so fortunately, they were well within the range of ash. And ash is really, really bad, because it turns out humans need to breathe oxygen, not dust. You know, volcanic dust. So, Pliny the Elder is making an emergency travel path to his friend, and he lands on the shore right outside his friend's villa. And he quickly rushes to shore to go talk to his friend. Him and his friend actually stay there all day, talking. And like I said, they're actually pretty far from the volcano, so they thought they'd be fine. But the courtyard in his little villa begins filling up with ash. Lots and lots of ash. To the point where, you know, it was getting hard to walk, right? Because a lot of villas had like a courtyard in them. They're almost kind of like a castle in a lot of ways, right? They have this little hole in the center for sunlight, right? Because that's back then that was one of the only ways you could get light. And it started filling up with ash, right? It started getting hard to walk. And Pliny the Elder is starting to realize, this might be really bad. This might be really, really, really bad. We're actually really far from Pompeii, and we might get stuck here. So he has his friend, him and his friend, take a quick nap, Citadel, because of course that's what you do in the middle of an apocalypse. Just a widow nap. You know, I'm a little tired, you know, a little puckered out. So they take a little bitty nap. And then they wake up, and ash equals another fog. Exactly. They wake up, and it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. So they quickly rush out of the villa, just as, you know, the villa's doors are literally being buried in ash. And they get to the boats, but the sea has started to churn, right? Giant rocks had started landing in the sea from the eruption as it continued to erupt, and the volcano's lava had made contact with the sea, right? Causing the water to churn and boil, literally causing the entire sea to boil. So they were having a big problem with the boiling of the sea. And it caused these massive waves. They're way too big for their little ships to handle. Like I said, they're not very good sailors. So their ships kind of suck. So the little bit of turmoil caused by this ship, caused by the sea, had made it impossible for Pliny the Elder and his friends to escape. They were now trapped on the wrong side of the sea, right next to Mount Vesuvius. They panicked, not knowing what to do, as their little boat literally got swallowed by the sea and sank to the bottom. Soon to be lava lake. And they panicked and they tried to go for high ground, right? To try to get away from the ash and, you know, all the bad stuff that comes from a volcano. And Pliny the Elder, he was actually really chubby and old at this point. You know, he's living up to the elder part of his name. And he was having some significant breathing problems. And he collapsed at the base of a tree, a fig tree, I think, on the top of this little hill near the villa. His servants tried to raise him up and get him back to walk, get him walking again, but he wouldn't move. So they left him behind. A couple days later, they went back and found him, and they said it was as if he was sleeping. That's how peaceful he looked. He died there on the side of the mountain. By the way, like I said, he was like the leader of the Roman Navy at the time, so... Back in the city of Pompeii, things were getting worse. Ilyich even unlocked Elder and chubby. That's that's a good description of him at that point in time. So, back in the city of Pompeii and Hernaculum, things were not going well. Ash had started to fill the streets. It's a General Kenobi! Hello! Hello. How you doing? How is the General Kenobi doing today? Okay, so, fish. Fish! We need some charcoal, I think. Where's the charcoal hiding? Where is it hiding? Oh, there it is. The last place I expect. This chest I put it in. Well, actually, I don't need that much. I just need 6, I think. Let's feed the fish. So, back in Hernaculum and Pompeii, people are freaking out. The city is being buried alive, literally, in ash. People are running for their lives. Most don't escape it. There was actually a person that was found some distance from the city that was running for their life. They got hit by a boulder from the volcano. It literally, a giant boulder came and struck them right in the face and crushed them. Ooh, a bed. Yeah, they died when a boulder hit them in the face. And people started suffocating, you know? Like, imagine asthma. Asthma's a thing that's followed humanity throughout most of its history. If you have severe asthma, especially back then, you'd probably dead. But if you had just mild asthma or mild breathing problems, you know, if you're old or if you just have breathing problems in general, you're in trouble. Before everyone else is falling over dead, you are starting to die in the streets, you know? So there's people falling dead in the ash in the streets, you know? And now the ash is so tall that carts and stuff can't move out, you know? Because people started grabbing their belongings. Once it got really bad, people are trying to grab their things and run, you know? Women put on all their jewelry, took their purses, you know? All the money they made in their entire life, just one little coin purse, you know? Because that's how poor people were back then. And, or, well, how money worked back then. And, you know, attaching all their jewelry to their body because their jewelry could be sold if the city was lost. They were panicking. Wives were grabbing their children and hiding in their basements and stuff. Boy, spoiler alert, no one gets out alive, but at this point. So, people start dropping dead in the streets, dead in their homes, you know. Ash starts piling up higher and higher and higher, because it's really close to the volcano, right? Oh, I didn't feed the fish. Where am I going? Breathing is real worried, you don't need oxygen. Well, I mean, I guess if you're dead, you don't need oxygen. So, people are panicking, they're freaking out. Women take their children to hide in the cellars, right? One of those cellars, the ones next to the ocean, actually, where a lot of people lost their lives, had women hiding in the back, right? There were men at the front watching to see if it would the coast would become clear so they could go back to their homes. And the women, when it started getting really bad, and the men outside started falling dead, because volcanic ash is really, really sharp. It's like literally glass. You're literally breathing like microscopic pieces of glass. It'll start cutting up your lungs, cutting up your throat. It'll burn, right? No good. No bueno. So the people that were outside these vaults started dropping dead. All of them. From the volcanic ash. And the people inside these vaults, who were sealed away, hid their children in the back of the vaults to try to keep them safe. Of course it didn't, because they all died. But, ooh, what's this? That's a lot of shulker boxes. What is this? What is this? What is this? I didn't put this here. What's going on? Where did this stuff come from? Was this from... I don't know what that's from. I need more food. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die of starvation. But, so they're panicking, they're hiding. And then, eventually, people start dropping dead. Of all calibers, even the stronger ones. It does look like a shulker monster. I don't know what that's about. But people start panicking, you know. Rome's elite start realizing an entire city is going to be lost. Like, this wasn't a small city. It wasn't big by any means, especially compared to things today. But it wasn't a small city. It was a bustling port, right? The ash starts to cover the city in over 6 feet, right? And Hernaculum actually even worse, because Hernaculum was lower sea level and closer to the volcano. It actually got buried over 20 meters in ash, right? So, all these people die. They're buried in ash, and their bodies are perfectly preserved, right? And so is everything that they were doing at the time. Bakeries are left with bread still in the ovens. Buildings were left with furniture, wood furniture still there. A lot of the roofs, and especially Pompeii, collapsed because the whole city wasn't buried. It was buried like up to, the first or second story of most buildings. So a lot of the tops of buildings eroded away over time because it was so bad that no one could occupy this area ever again. There are cities near there, but those two cities, they're gone. Entire cities gone by the volcano and its ash. And this isn't lava flow. It isn't something like super duper violent other than the person that got hit in the head by a giant boulder. Other than that, most people just die pretty, they're terrified, but pretty slowly and pretty painfully. So, and it's not like lava is flowing through the streets. It's just ash, That's how dangerous ash is. Like, if you're in a fire, smoke is the most dangerous part of the fire. It's what's going to kill you. And that's what killed all these people. And it's also what buried the city, right? It was untouched for centuries. And not too long... Hello, Willies. How you doing? And not too long ago, I don't know what I'm doing about the food situation. We're just going to have to run around killing cows. We'll run around killing cows while we're telling the story. So, for centuries, these places were left untouched. Pompeii got hit by looters and robbers after the city fell, and most of the countryside was covered in ash. The place lay uninhabited for a while. And as with most things in history, after a long time, people came back to the rubble, only to find that they couldn't go inside of most buildings on the first floor. All that was available was like the second floor of most buildings. So they stripped away a lot of resources. Weather did a lot of damage to these buildings. But for the city of Hernaculum, the much smaller city next door, it was completely buried. It was gone. It was like it never existed. It was buried under so much ash, And actually, the volcanic eruption was so violent that it actually moved the coast away from the cities. It was actually funny. Before this happened, they were so close to the coast that they were actually almost sinking into the coast. Some of the buildings in Hernaculum, because it was such low sea level at the time, some of the buildings in Hernaculum on the coast had to have their windows boarded up and sealed with concrete because they kept flooding from the ocean at high tide, right? Some of the buildings' first floors, and, the floors below that, were actually below sea level, right? And then after this, of course, they were way far from the ocean. And, after thousands of years, the ocean kind of moved. The sea, sorry. Kind of moved away because this is the Mediterranean Sea. And for a long time, they lay untouched, other than some robbers and stuff like that. So all this history, everything you would ever want to know about what it was like to live in ancient Rome, preserved. Like, as if you paused it in the middle of time, Food still on tables. They still had their, their ritualistic altars were preserved. Their furniture, frescoes on the buildings, the color of buildings, right? Paint was preserved. The markings in the streets were preserved, from carts and stuff. The sewer system was preserved. Buildings below sea level sounds familiar, yeah. They do exist a lot today. Bye-bye, repeated while I was going to work. So, now the story of these two cities, long after these people have passed away, has come to the more scientific interest. To understand what it's like to live in ancient Rome. Because Rome was around... Did I just start suffocating when I ran through a grass? Did I see that right? What just happened? I swore I saw the bubbles. I walked through some grass and then started suffocating. Oh, we got a cow. I mean, a pig. Meals on wheels. So, the cities have been buried for centuries. Lost to the sands of time, But in, I think, the 1960s, excavations started to occur around Pompeii, the more famous of the two cities. And they started taking away the volcanic ash and the dirt and everything that's been left for about, 2 millennia on top of the city. And what they find is perfectly preserved human bodies. Their skeletons intact, and they actually formed cavities in the ash, because they were bodies there a long time ago that formed cavities in of the ash, right? The shape of the bodies. And one of the ideas they had was to fill these cavities with a material, right? So then they could actually see what these cavities look like. And they did that for a lot of the bodies in Pompeii, right? And if you can actually go there to Pompeii today and see all these people as they were when they died, right? And this was, several decades ago when they did all this. So they unearthed Pompeii, and it became a bit of a tourist destination. And today, it's traded by a lot of people that slowly destroy the archaeological evidence because everyone's walking through the city, right? It's as if it's a city again, in the fact that people are running around doing things that people do, and the city is starting to degrade a little bit. But there was another city nearby that had laid uncovered because it was so deep. Over 20 meters in some place of ash and dirt, right? It was Hernaculum, this other smaller city. And this is where our story picks up, because Pompeii is interesting in itself, right? It's very famous. But the more interesting tale is its neighbor, the smaller city of Hernaculum. Someone call Bones, she will solve the case. Hernaculum was so well preserved because it was buried way above the tops of the buildings, right? And so, not only was it preserved very well, but it was almost perfectly preserved. Everything, right? Like today, we don't know what Roman bread was really like, but we can go there and see the kilns right after they're snuffed out by volcanic ash with bread still inside the kilns from the day when, everyone died. The buildings are so well preserved, we can actually read graffiti on the sides of the buildings. Now, some of the graffiti isn't strictly PG, but it sort of reminds you how human these people were. They weren't strangers. I mean, they were, because they've been dead for 2,000 years. But they were humans, just like us. They had dreams, they had hopes, they had desires. They ate, they slept, they loved, they hated. They had friends, they had enemies. And most of these cities today don't exist like this, because they have 2,000 years of history. As things changed and more people came and moved in and changed things. These cities are as they were 2,000 years ago, right? You can actually look up the graffiti on the sides of these buildings, right? Like one of them is a bathroom stall, and it was signed by a very famous servant of one of the emperors who said that they went to the bathroom there. It was signed on the side of a toilet stall. It's a little bit more vulgar than that, but that's what they said, right? And other times they talked about the romances that they had on the walls, right? Or stuff like that, right? They left their mark on the world. Just like it's just like a modern city. Like if you go to New York, you'll see graffiti all over the place, right? And a lot of times graffiti is just that. It's like damage to the buildings, and it's pretty obscene in most cases, or seen as a blight on buildings, right? But it was the same way 2,000 years ago. People would sign their names on the sides of buildings saying, I was here, I existed, I was real, I lived, And sometimes they would even write messages to each other, One man got in a fight with another over a woman, and they left some messages insulting each other in the walls of buildings, right? And graffiti, right? In other homes, their beds were still intact and still ready to be slept in, Some dinner tables had dinner waiting, right? And this is a treasure trove of archaeological discovery. You could go there and see what it was actually like to be a Roman. It's so... Okay, here's where the funny part of the story gets into play. Because, like I said, I was watching a documentary on this. And I've watched many documentaries on this, but this one was... I find it way funnier than most. Because it was not funny on purpose. Let me just say it that way. So... It's a treasure trove of archaeological information, We could see the door fittings they had on their doors, the little bits of metal that they used to clamp their doors to the building. You could see the frescoes, the paintings they had on the walls, right? Like today, a lot of these older Roman buildings are missing all this paint and stuff that they had on the inside. Because Romans loved to, just like today, you want to decorate your walls or your house or whatever. They had decorations too. They painted their walls with these brilliant, beautiful frescoes depicting their gods or friends or family or whatever, They had busts, the really wealthy of them had their own villas, like mansions inside the city, where they kept busts of their family members. So you can actually see the heads of real Romans that really did live in the form of statues, right? Where normally that would be only like emperors and stuff you would see the heads of, right? You get to see the heads of everyday, moderately wealthy people that lived in Pompeii and Hernaculum. Hernaculum is in particular important because its sewer system was preserved. And again... this is the best part of the story because in the documentary they had this really cool archaeologist talking about all these cool things, and he was sitting at his desk in his office, and he pulled out this rock and placed it on his desk, and he said, "This is my most prized possession." And the interviewer asked, "Where did you get it from?" And he said, "Oh, I got this from Hernaculum, right? It's the pinnacle of my career, getting to excavate one of the most ancient and well-preserved archaeological digs in history." Here we go with poop talk? No, definitely not poop talk. No. I would, no. But yeah, maybe. His most prized possession, right? And they ask, what is it? What is your most prized possession? What is this made of? And he says it's corpulite. Now, corpulite, it just sounds like any other stone, you know? It's just a stone. But it's not just a stone. It's not just any kind of stone. It's fossilized feces. And not just any feces, human feces. Yeah. The most prized possession from this archaeologist, you know, this dude who has like 20 PhDs and has studied architecture, studied the architecture of ancient Rome and the livelihoods of ancient Roman people, and got to excavate one of the most perfectly preserved ancient cities in history. His most prized possession is a piece of poop that he has on his desk and keeps with him at all times because he's worried he'll lose it. Because the Roman systems, the sewers, were so well preserved. They're so well preserved, in fact, they were able to excavate them and figure out what was it that they ate. Okay. And this is why it was most prized possession, because they actually figured out that ancient Romans ate, ancient poor Romans from this particular piece of corpulite ate seafood. That's why it's his most prized possession, because he proved that his idea that ancient Roman peasants and holy creeper, goodness, what are you doing to me? I'm trying to kill food here. I am hungry. It was 2,000 years late with the. They were a little 2,000 years late with the plumbing. But from this particular piece of poop he had on his desk, you know, his most prized possession, the most valuable thing this dude owned. They figured out that he was right. He proved that he was right. That ancient Roman peasants, the poor people, actually ate seafood. There was a big debate for a long time whether or not poor Romans could afford to eat seafood. Today, seafood is seen as a luxury, right? Seafood is usually more expensive than regular food, especially if you live further away from the ocean. And it's been that way for most of human history. And they were very curious on whether or not Roman poor people, the peasants, and the poor freemen actually had a balanced diet. And whether or not they ate seafood, right? And what seafood they ate. Because you could go to Italy today and go to fish markets. No food's gonna spawn here. What am I doing? This is a desert. Go to fish markets and see what food they have today. And it's actually weird because a lot of the food they sold to peasants back then, because it was in their feces, is the same kind of seafood you could buy today if you go to fish markets in Italy. But they actually ate more than a lot of those sea markets. One of the favorite foods, it appears, was squid. And that's what was in the poop that he had on his desk. The poop he had on his desk was digested squid from a human. They came out the other end. You love seafood? I live in the center of the U.S. I eat seafood almost regularly. Yeah, well, today it's a little different, right? But through most of modern history, seafood has been a more luxury commodity. If you're well paid and stuff like that, yeah, you can eat seafood. Like lobster. Lobster is today a very expensive food, for the most part, right? But the truth is, if you go back, lobster was actually also poor food. Like in Louisiana, you'll find a lot of Cajun recipes for lobster because, for a long time, lobster was actually the poor man's food. And so it was really easy to incorporate into a lot of different recipes until its scarcity went up and it became more valuable. You are not a peasant, Watchful. That's true. You're not a peasant. You're not a poor peasant that basically is a slave of other people. Right. And that was the big debate, whether or not they ate seafood. And they did. They ate squid. They ate all these things. So this doctor, you know, this expert in ancient archaeology, right? He's found bodies and corpses and excavated an entire city. Keeps poop on his desk. Because that's what proved his theory right. And I laughed so much. I was watching on my phone. I was watching this little documentary, and when he pulled it out, I'm like, "That's not poop, is it? Don't tell me," because they were just talking about the sewer system, and he was holding it, and he was talking about it. I would not hold fossilized feces in my hand. I know. It sounds absolutely ludicrous, but I wouldn't. And the way he was talking about it is his most revered item. Like, it was worth more than his house. It actually was. That That piece of corporalite was worth over 60,000 US dollars. And it was the size of it was literally a turd. It was literally a turd. I don't know how else to explain. It was the size of, a normal bowel movement. And he kept it on his desk. And took it with him for lectures. And that's what he wanted to show. Because it was the only time we saw him on screen, because most of the time he was just talking to the background. It was one of the few times where we saw him on screen. And he pulled it out, showed it off. That's what it's like, show and tell, when you want to present something you're proud of, and he pulled out a piece of feces. I had a pause video and I was laughing so hard. He pulled out some feces. And then they went on to talk about the Roman sewer systems, because they didn't really know how Roman sewer systems were, for the most part. Because most of them are destroyed or redone over the centuries, right? A little bit. Or they've had a lot of wear and tear, so they're a bit damaged. Camino is one of my favorite foods. And it's one of the best because I know the recipes vary. No, why does the recipes vary? One man's turd is another man's treasure. It is! It literally is a treasure. Like I said, it was apparently that little piece of poo was worth 60,000 US dollars. And of course, the archaeologist was speaking Italian, so he's Italian. But I just found it so funny. And then they went on to talk about the sewer system. I was expecting this documentary to talk about the people while they were alive and doing things. But I did not expect it to go take a turn for the sewer. They actually spent like 10 or 20 minutes of this hour-long documentary talking about the sewer systems. They only spent a very little amount of time talking about people. And one of the things they did talk about was, like I said, the people living on the other shore that went and hid. And how not too long ago, actually in my lifetime, they actually found a new corpse in Hernaculum in one of these hidden places. Is it documentary? I think it might have been on YouTube. It might have been. I can't remember. I don't remember where I watched it. I did watch it on my phone though. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't remember. It was a while ago now. But they wanted to talk about how they had discovered a new corpse, a small child that was found in the way back of one of these vaults. They actually thought it was part of the wall, but when this archaeologist I'm talking about went to examine this area, he realized that there were two women leaning against the wall, covering it with their face and their arms and their body, right? And they were buried like that. And he thought they might have been protecting something. They thought at first they were like protecting gold or something, because they had a lot of jewelry on. They had all their jewelry on, like way more jewelry than you would actually usually have as a Roman person. They had all their jewelry on because they had run from their homes and they'd taken their values with them because they didn't want it to be looted or lost, right? Especially back then, most people, their wealth would be something, all their wealth would be something they could hold and take with them. Their jewelry, their coins, right? They actually did have a coin purse, but that's not what they found. They found a small child. Actually, I think it was one of the youngest corpses they found. It was almost perfectly preserved because they were in the far back of the vault, right? They weren't crushed by the weight of dirt and ash. And so they went back and they examined the baby, right? Because this is not something they get to regularly do. And he was also covered in jewelry. And they believe he might have been the son of a noble, and that one of the women might have been his nursemaid. Because in ancient Rome, very wealthy people would often have nursemaids to take care of the baby, right? Maybe one of them was the nursemaid and the other one was the mother. But the interesting thing was that they both had jewelry, like a lot of jewelry, which might imply that one of them might be a mistress of their father or something other than that, right? Why would these two women try to protect this baby? We don't know. Because, they're dead. They can't really tell us. But it was interesting because they didn't know that was there for a long time, right? They knew the women were there because they had excavated them, but they didn't realize there was a small hole in the back of the wall where people could put things, right? Like a little crevice. And that's what the baby was in the far back. Maybe they were roommates. Maybe. Maybe they were roommates. We don't know, right? That's interesting. Those kind of relationships, right? Same-sex relationships aren't very well talked about in ancient Rome. They did exist, but we don't know about them very well, But in their last moments of life, they tried to save the baby. And that's what was important. And the baby was next to a purse with some Roman coins, and they were perfectly preserved, right? A lot of Roman coins from that era are usually damaged, not because gold falls apart, because gold doesn't degrade, right? But because as rubbing against it, because gold is very soft metal, or things squish it or rub against it, you can lose a lot of the detail on it, right? And so they were able to actually see what coins looked like back then, because they're perfectly preserved, right? And you could actually see the roughness and stuff like that, because back then creating coins wasn't a perfect process. So they were rough around the edges. They were perfectly circular, right? More proof about how Roman currency was like. Right? And you can actually also tell that what kind of gold they were made out of and stuff like that. And the other thing was the jewelry. Jewelry is actually really rare to find from Roman times because most of it would fall apart. You know, like if you had a necklace. Say you had a necklace that's made of different components, right? The string would fall apart. You would lose the string because it would degrade. And then all those other harder parts would be scattered, right? Like imagine, you know, the scene of Batman's mother getting their pearl necklace ripped off and then the pearls land everywhere and scatter, right? That's what happens to most kind of jewelry like that. And because these people died with it on and it was perfectly preserved, you can actually see a lot of the details of their jewelry, right? I just find it fascinating, right? That all this stuff, you get to learn about them. And like I say, it provides a realistic perspective of these people. I'm really not going to run into much food doing this, am I? And seeing the humanity of them, right? That they did their best to survive. They didn't really know what was going on. They were confused. Around these women were other people that were hiding in the vaults who were scared. You know, they didn't know what was going on. And there were people outside the vaults on the beach. Or what was the beach, 2,000 years ago. There was lots and lots of people sitting on the beach, but they're all males. They're all men. And it's believed these people were lookouts who were making sure that they would keep an eye on the women and children and let them know when it was safe to come back out again. And it's very likely that they were the first to die because they were out in the open on the beach. And they had collapsed there. And as the ash surrounded the vault, the people realized that it was too late. They couldn't escape. You know. And they spent the last of their lives with everything that they had. Okay, let's take a nap. Let's take a nap and then try to get more food. Brave American trains have found out a lesbian loves me. And you have a loving and healthy relationship. That's good news. Let's sit here. So, and like I said, I think one of the most interesting things that's preserved there is the words of the people who lived there and the graffiti talking about their stories and their life and the things that they do and the things that they had done and the things that they were proud of. Again, reminding you how human they were. Oh. Okay. Start of a horror movie, people in the walls. It does sound like a start of a horror movie. But I want to share that story because I thought it was so interesting. You know? I love learning about history. I think history has a lot of value in seeing the people, not just the people around us and how human they are, but the people of the past. Because they were humans, you know? Just as real as we were. They had just as complicated thoughts and stuff like that as we did. Except, life was usually a lot harder back then. But they didn't know that. They lived at the pinnacle of technological progress, right? They didn't know how we would live our lives because that didn't happen yet. And just like we don't know how people will live their lives 100 years from now. And it provides an interesting question. What will our legacy be as humans? 100 years from now, how will people look at us? So we leave a pretty big digital footprint nowadays, like I am now, streaming. And will that be the archaeological evidence of the future? Imagine a day when the internet is filled with the names of mostly dead people. It's a little bit morbid, but it's true, right? Someday in the future, the names of people who posted on Reddit or YouTube, if those things still exist. Well, someday in the future, most of those people will have passed away. It'll be the words of the past. Just like the graffiti on these buildings in Hernaculum and Pompeii are the words of the people long ago, right? Again, just as real and just as living and alive at one time as we are now. People in walls or any of the stories I've heard, you don't remember the details very well, though. Right? What kind of legacy do we leave behind? I need food. And where's the food? This is a terrible place for food. I'm actually going to move over here because this is a desert, basically. And nothing edible is really going to spawn. I just need to stab some things for food. Feeling I might have missed it. I think it's an issue. I think I did miss the big message that Watchful left. Chiopina is nicknamed the Fishman Stew. The reason the recipe varies is it was made with the idea you could use anything. I think that's how most foods were made. A fisherman, for example, can't cook his best fish for himself, or he wouldn't make money. So Campino is a stew made from whatever fisherman couldn't sell to market before the fish or the seafood went bad. That's why it varies so much, and that's why it's so good, says Watchful. I agree. I think most foods were made in the exact same way, People just had whatever they had, and they threw it in a pot. Like a soup. Soup and stews are a really good example of that. Right? You just throw whatever you have into a pot and cook it. Right? And then over time, those foods become more traditional because people keep eating them. Right? Throughout most of human history, people just threw whatever they had food-wise into water and eat it. And that was soups and stews. And you could throw anything in there, you know? That's why soups and stews, in general, vary so widely. It was a great way to get water, right? And you'd be boiling your water, so less chance of pathogens. And you would also be boiling your food, right? Because back then, most human history, way before refrigeration was there. You know, refrigeration, as commonly as it's seen today, wasn't really a thing until, like, 100 years ago. So, through most human history, you know, these 2,000 years since Pompeii was covered in ash, most people struggled to keep their food from going bad, especially fish. Fish and seafood, it rots very quickly. So, one of the ways you can, you know, eat food that might be closer to its expiry date than you might like is to cook it really thoroughly and boil it, right? To kill off the pathogens, all the bad stuff that's on it. Not that they knew that's what they're doing, but the people that did that were more likely to survive and pass those kind of traditions on. Right? Food is sort of a linear relationship between us and the past, right? Because all humans had to eat, you know, even the people in Vernaculum had to eat, right? They ate bread. And bread is one of the most common foods of all time. It's what kept millions of people, and especially in Europe, from starvation. You know, and they ate much the same bread we kind of eat today. You know, like probably closer to a whole wheat bread, and they had more sand in their bread from the milling process. But you know, other than that, it was bread. You know, the recipe hasn't really changed too much. You know, you use wheat, you grind it down to a flour, you wet it, you add some yeast. There you go, bread. And sometimes you didn't even need yeast. You know, a lot of flatbreads don't use any leavening agents to make the bread rise. So a lot of flatbreads are actually ancient in their origin. And what's funny is I always like to make jokes about cheese, but cheese is also ancient in origin. The Roman soldiers on the march took cheese with them. And that cheese is what fed the armies, you know? Because milk spoils pretty fast, you know? But if you could turn it into a cheese, you got protein on the go. Cheese takes a lot longer to go bad than most other foods. So it's a really good thing to take with you on long journeys, right? Just like really dry breads are, like hardtack. Hardtack was a bread that was, like, cooked 1,000 times until it was, like, 100% dry. Like, drier than any cracker you've ever eaten in your life. And that kind of stuff you could take with you on long journeys, right? As people had to travel, right? Or if the winter was coming and you wanted to preserve it, right? Cheese and butter and all those other things, especially in Europe, were excellent. What are you doing to me? Creeper noises! What are you doing? Not over here in this area. Don't hang around it. Pickling and drying were methods. Yes, pickling and drying were excellent methods for preserving food, right? But if you didn't want to preserve your food, which most people didn't have the time to, or didn't really have a need to, an excellent way is just to throw it all in a pot and boil it in water, because you get water, right? A lot of water is not always safe to drink, especially in the past. We actually live in a time of luxury for most people in, you know, the modern world, where water is usually safe to drink. There's still people that don't get fresh water to drink, which is an absolute tragedy. But for the most part, a lot of people in the world do have fresh water that's mostly usually clean, right? But for most human history, that wasn't the case. You know, you got water from a well or whatever, and you usually take baths in the river nearby, so you didn't know if your water was safe. So cooking it by boiling would kill pathogens, because, you know, bacteria and other things like that couldn't live in boiling water. Not that they knew about pathogens, but because they did this, they were more likely to survive and more likely to pass that on. You know, and that's where we get a lot of stews and soup recipes, you know? Because if you didn't preserve the food for a long time, right, well, how else would you eat it? Well, you cook it quite thoroughly. And in water, it's pretty easy. Just get a pail of water and cook it all up. You can throw anything in there. Anything you have, right? Hey, Fearless, there's a billion fish. I don't want to eat fish. I'm tired of fish. Fish hurt my soul. I want food that is going to last more than 15 seconds, okay? And you know what? I've decided me and fish are BFFs now, so I'm not going to eat them, unless I'm hungry. But other than that, I won't eat them. Fish is not a very good food to eat. I tried for fish for a long time. I had several shulker boxes. I still have a shulker box of fish, but I go through like 3 stacks in 30 minutes. I just can't do it. Fish are friends, not food. Exactly! Anyway, this will be fine. I do this in my personal world all the time. Just running around stabbing things. It'll be fine for now. I know it was gone less than a week, but we'll be okay. Okay, we'll be good. We got this. I believe in me. Okay, I believe in myself, and you all out there should believe in yourself as well. Confidence is key in a lot of areas of success, and if you can be confident in your abilities, then it can really help you get through things. You know. Do you have a farmer villager? I don't have any villagers like that. Only villagers I have sell me cheese. You know, the inedible kind. Because we don't have edible cheese. It is a tragedy. Just wait. I forgot that I had that pack on. I forgot. Fawn said he's gonna help me fix that because we're having some trouble. Let me show you. This skin right here, this one, is actually a custom skin, a creator skin, and it looks just like it's Steve, but it's not. It's because my texture pack, there's something wrong with it. It's turned him into Steve. If I get rid of that pack, you need 2 dedicated food farms. I do. I really do. My villagers do use cheese cutters. Fearless could work up. I do work up hungry creative mode. Let's take off my cheesy texture pack. That's the one that has the dab in it. Oh, there it goes. You can see immediately that it fixed it. Except that my face is blue, which is not supposed to be. Because I was like, why is it not working? I made my face blue by accident. But this is, you know, Captain Cheesebeard. And it wasn't working before. The other problem is, with that texture pack, capes don't work. Right? I don't have capes in that texture pack, because the capes don't render properly. So, Fun said he's going to help me fix that. Because I do eventually want to let you guys play with my texture pack. I'm going to turn it in like a really cool texture pack where you can turn things on and off. So if you're not a fan of the Fearless parts, we're going to turn that off. Right? Let's move it down. Because it's going to be a really good RTX pack when it's done. I've been working on their textures very slowly, but I have been. And it's going to look really nice when it's done. Word games! Are you sure you want a story time? I mean, we've been telling stories all day. You don't think there's a fix for it? That's a shame. Why do I have to remove the dab? What are you doing to me? Okay, I'm watching this time. I have my eyes peeled. It's funny we landed next to this, because I need to fix this. This thing's ugly. This is the Twitchville area, and someone in one of my streams built this. I forget their name, but I think I'm going to decorate it and put a building around it to make it look nice. We won't do that right now, but that's something on my radar very shortly. I've been meaning to get to it, but then you're always sick and bedridden for a while, so I wasn't able to do it. But we're going to get back to doing it. Creeping on me. Are you sure you guys want story time? Are you sure? There was another redeem. I think Cannon wanted me to burn a stack of regular oak. Let's go do that. Okay. I think we should be good on food for the next 15 seconds. And I'm actually really liking pork chops and steak. I think those are my only foods from now on. If I had a farmer villager, I'd like to get carrots. That'd be nice. But I don't know where to put them. Maybe we should set up a villager trading area somewhere in SlackVille, where we just have those kind of villagers. I don't know if we have any ones that give carrots. We probably do somewhere, but I wouldn't know where. Is that supposed to be floating? Okay, let's get going. I'm also almost out of rockets. I'm going to have to use some bone meal to myself more paper, because I'm always running out of sugarcane. Okay, let's go fill up on everything. Do I have any other stories? I really liked those 2 stories. I just thought they were hilarious. You know, the king and his countess that fought off tax collectors with an umbrella. And the story of the archaeologist whose most prized possession is a turd. Now, if those aren't the greatest stories of all time, I don't know what is. But, you know, we'll try to make one of our own, you know, here in a second. So, if you guys don't know, story time is one of my favorite redeems of the channel. I say this every time, but it really is. And it's actually really, really redeemed because it's so expensive. But that's because it's special. It's where I involve you guys, my chat, to help me tell a story. And it's pretty simple, actually. You guys give me some words, and I'll use them in a story. Okay? There are a couple rules, right? 1 word at a time. You are allowed to spam, but only 1 word at a time per message. Right? Nothing inappropriate. No names of people. No Harry Potter, no MrFearless. No insert politician here. So none of that. But as long as it follows those rules, there are 180,000 words in the English language you could give me to try to tell me the story. Because there's 180,000 distinct words in the English language. Right? It actually has the most words of more words than most other European languages. So it's the perfect language to tell the most amazing story. So I'm gonna need some words from you guys, right? As many words as possible. I can go fast. So more words, more better. If you guys keep me them for our story time, we could begin here in a second. Do I have any oak? Do I not have a stack of oak to burn? This is a tragedy. Now, dark oak, sand, cheese, corpulite. The first word is corpulite. Friendship. Friendship is a good one. No wood there. Okay, let's open my ender chest. Let's dip into the ender chest. Let's see here. We're going to need this box here. Okay, we do have one stack of oak, but I think that's it. I think that's my last stack. You burned me dry, literally. Okay, let's go make some more fish food. I mean, it's totally not fish food that we make using this strategy. Oh, I got rid of all my furnaces. I used to have wall furnaces there. Do I have any in here? Let's just build one. Let's go crazy. Let's build a random furnace. Archduke! That's a nice one. Clock wings. You guys are pulling the big guns out today. Cobblestone. Where are you hiding at? Do I have any in this box? Infinity stones. No. Well, there's an easy way to get cobblestone. Considering I'm starting by stone. And it's digging down. Oh, I'm using the wrong pickaxe. That's okay, though. There we go. Let's light this up. And escape. Tempest. Oh, that's a nice one. I don't think that word's ever been used. Potato! Colorful. Okay, make sure we got the right pickaxes there. Let's make ourselves a furnace. There's a crafting bench. I'd love to work on this room, too. We have lots of things to work on. That's okay, though. It keeps us busy. Goodness. Place this here. Should be fine. No. Here. Toxic. Toxic? I don't know what that means. Exceedingly idealistic. That's actually a really nice word. Okay, let's grab ourselves. I love words I don't know the meaning of. I can't always use them in a sentence, so I might skip some of those words, but I could try. That's part of the challenge, is it not? Do I have anything to cook this with? Let's use some regular coal. I gotta save this for fish food. I mean, it's totally not charcoal, but we still should save it. Okay. That should be good. There we go. Calcium. Okay, we got the oak cooking. What else do we have on the list of things to do? I need to drink some water. You guys are giving me all the words I need. Let's look up the ceiling for some reason. Make sure I have all the redeems. I think so. I think that's good. Okay. I think we're good. Let's go repair my pickaxe, and then we'll tell the story. Oh, I'm out of rockets. Uh-oh. Do I have any more? I hope so. Shenanigans! But I promised never to shenanigan, guys. I promised. I always forget you can actually make rockets inside your inventory. I don't know why, but I always forget that you can even craft things in your inventory. I'm always so used to having to craft with a crafting table. Okay, let's get going. Farce. That's a nice one. Farce. Truck. Reassuring. Are we reassuring the corporate? Okay, let's go over here. Over here is... Okay, I did say we'll do a little tour, so... While we're waiting for more words to come in. This is spawn. I think this is going to be a new fancy spawn, because we also got that building there. Which looks beautiful, by the way. And this is my house. That's Brew's base. CT's base. A couple buildings for other people. We'll be working on this building sometime in the future. To finish it up. Over here we have someone's base that doesn't play this anymore. We have the amazing Relic Space, who popped in chat earlier. And so we're going to stop off to repair our tools. There's a bit of a glitch in Bedrock, where if you take things out of a furnace that's been cooking lots and lots of stuff, it'll actually save the XP. So It remembers XP forever, doesn't ever lose it. So you can just keep adding XP to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to litter the floor and not tell anyone. And leave the meat bricks there to despawn. Because I repaired my pickaxe. I think we're ready for story time. Electroplated. That's a good word. Electroplating is really cool. Use electricity to put a microscopic layer of a metal on top of something else. Usually another metal. Gardener? Denatured. Denatured. I'm not sure how to use that one in a sentence. I think I could do that one. I got that one. Roommates! Oh, they were roommates. Let's nap time and then let's tell our story. Oh, I always hear my bed's right here. It's probably because I should be building a bedroom in this building someday. And not have my bed in the entry area. But, you know. Unicycle. Okay, let's go over here. Clarification. That's a good one. Pulling out the big words today. Okay. Is this a good place for story time? I think it is. Okay, let's scroll up. I think we're ready. I think we're ready to tell the best story of all time. Thanks to all your help. Hypnotizing! Ooh. Okay, where did the words start? I think the first one was Corporate from ALackOfHygine. Corporate, friendship, and a volcano. The first three words, we're going to try to reference them as many times in the story. They're like the main nouns of the story. So one of them is poop. Okay, I'll give you a second to think here. How could we begin this story? This is the first story since we've been back for a little bit. I want to do a good one, okay? So let's think here. Corporate, friendship, and volcano. Okay, I think I have the story idea. So we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'm going to try to use as many words you guys have given me as possible to tell the best story of all time. Okay, stopwatch. No, timer. 5 minutes. I wish I could set a timer on my computer, but I've tried that before and it gets mad at me. So, because of all my settings with the recording, and I have like five programs open at once. So, let's begin. So there was once a massive volcano next to a small, quaint little village. And before they knew it, they were destroyed, evaporated off the face of the earth by a large eruption, leaving behind nothing but ash. But beneath that ash lied a mineral so valuable, so precious, that it would destroy even the foundations of the most secure friendships. A mineral called corporate. Thousands of years after this village was destroyed, and all the remnants had long since disappeared to the annals of history. A vampire was on the precipice of getting his wings, the ability to fly and soar above the sky, but he needed to impress his elders and prove to them he was worthy of such prestigious award. So he watched the clock tick by, and his friend, the creeper Archduke, the Archduke Vesuvius, to get out of a meeting he was having with the exasperated Grimstone Castle leader named Potato, of course. Potato! As the Archduke was having the meeting with Potato, the clock struck noon. And Archduke talked to his vampire friend. And the vampire let him know that he was on the precipice of getting his wings. The most prestigious award any vampire could ever have. The only way he could do it was to prove to his elders he was worthy. So, in the Archduke had an idea. He heard of this ancient and powerful mineral called corporate that hold vast riches and could be worth more than any other mineral in the world because of its rarity. But the only way to find it was to venture across the lands and visit this hidden village beneath the ash. taking his surfboard, moving like a tempest. They decided to move with haste. Before sunrise would hit the land, they would make it to that village and find their corporate. Not knowing all the trials and tribulations that we had, and the damage to the friendship that would ensue at the base of one of the most dangerous volcanoes in human history. They decided to set forth on the greatest trek of all mankind. They were very quixotic, idealistic, and thought they could make it through. Friendship intact. And as they got in their car, it was shaped like a watermelon. They drove and drove and drove for miles until they came across a really big windmill next to a destroyed trolley car from a civilization long, long past that had been turned into cows. Next time, a nearby bakery that had used the windmill to make the flour for the bakery. They went up to ask the baker for directions to the volcano, because although the volcano was massive in scope and size, it was hidden behind a much larger mountain that really obscured the landscape. And if they wanted to make it there on time, they were going to have pretty accurate directions. So they asked the nearby sage where the volcano was, where they could find this ancient mineral corpuli. The sage, intrigued by their story, told them a bunch of malarkey and lied to them, sending them in the wrong direction to a nearby avalanche area from a rock slide that had happened during a storm many years ago. And as the two adventurers walked away, the sage started to plot against them, knowing that if they were to get to the corpuli and excavate it for them, they could snatch it before they were able to escape and use it to buy more leavening agents for their bread. Of course, yes. As the shenanigans continued, the two adventurers were reassured that their brotherly love for each other would be preserved as they got back into their truck, not knowing it was the farce presented to them by the evil sage. They came closer to the rock slide area. They came across a totem that warned them of the dangers ahead. This area was unstable, as it had been for the decades since the avalanche, and any loud noise could cause the avalanche to continue, completely destroying the entire valley below. With their facade a scam, the sage ambushed them to capture them, because they could use the vampire and all his strength to actually excavate the area for them. A little bit too hasty they were, because the two friends were ready. Using their gardening skills, of course. They denatured the proteins and caused the sage to be electroplated, freezing the place and turning him into a statue as they ran away. The sage vowed revenge, though, not being killed by the process, and said that he would get those two friends yet. The end? Question mark? There you go. There you go. The end. How'd you guys like the story? Maybe we could continue it. If someone else redeems it, we might be able to continue the story. I'm just saying. Okay. I have a lot of junk in my inventory. Story over already? Yeah. It's only a 5-minute story. 5 minutes of the worst shenanigans in history. So how did that compare to the story of the lady with the umbrella defending the king against tax collectors? I know. A modern marvel. I can't read story time yet. Okay, let me clear out my inventory. And we'll continue. We're reading more words, though. I'll have to scroll up. What word did I leave off on? Like denatured, I think, or something like that. Oh, I need to put my paper back in my rocket box. Debris out of cheese. Would consume again. Okay, let me put away. Oh, you know what? I never fed the fish. I didn't feed the fish. Let's, do I have any chests where I can just dump things in? I mean, isn't it all my chests? But let's get rid of this. We'll keep the food. Let's go feed the fish. And let's continue our storytelling. I know it's a little break. It's like in the middle of a movie where they might pause it for some silly reason and let everyone go take a stretch. You know, that's what it is. Make sure you guys go get a drink. Stuff like that. We'll continue here in a second. Let's go drop off our food for our fish. There we go. Fish! Don't worry, they're fed. So they break down the movie. Exactly. It's everyone's toilet break. Go get some popcorn, I guess. Something like that. Let me drink some water so, you know, I don't die of thirst over here. Let's see. Hydrate! Okay, I'll drink another gulp, I guess. This super. I'll let it go for now, but this has been a blast. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying things. I do enjoy my story times. Where are we going? Where are we going? That's a good question. Grilled cheese IRL. Grilled cheese IRL. Shiny. Chaos has been saving up for that. Okay, I'll make a grilled cheese. Just for you guys. With all the cheeses you could ever imagine. And the moral of the story is a corporate is this in the sock is worth 2 in the scooter. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think we're going to continue with the story here in a second. Let's see. Do I need to do anything before we continue the story? Let's go repair the rest of my tools real quick. You know, they all have just a little bit of damage to them, but with netherite tools, there's actually quite a bit of durability that they've been used up. So, let's go repair all of them. This is our little reprieve from the story, so we continue. Oh, I passed. I passed it. Okay, you've convinced me. I'll make a grilled cheese in real life. I've actually been experimenting with grilled cheeses. With multiple cheeses. Oh my gosh, guys. If you've never done it before, you should. Delicious. $126 levels. This mean another cooking vid for Fearless? I repeat one. Yeah, sure. I can do a video if you guys want. You get to see my hands again. Ooh. Hands! Ooh, hands! Okay, let's get going. Yeah, we gotta fix this building. I think I want to put like a beam between these windows because there's a big open space there. And we also gotta get our dolphins. Don't worry, that's coming. We're gonna be going on the greatest trip of mankind. 2,000 blocks to get dolphins. Okay, where are we going? Should we tell the story in someplace else? Should we continue it elsewhere? I swore this building was gone. I swore this building was gone the last time I looked. It wasn't there. How's it back again? Maybe I'm hallucinating. Because all these buildings are getting deleted, I think. So, I thought that wasn't there anymore. Okay, guys, we're going to need some more words. If you used to be so kind to give us more for the next bit of the story time, because I think we're ready. I stall this rush for as long as I can. Dictionary! Yeah, continue with the words. I'll scroll up and get some more of the words we had earlier. That you guys so graciously provided. But we'll need more, I think. I mean, it's never a bad idea to have too many words. Because it's kind of sad when I run out, you know? That the greatest trip of all time mankind was Creeper and a vampire looking for Corpoline. The Archduke Creeper, okay? He's very high-ranking. Very prestigious. Let's take a nap. I don't want to die. As funny as that would be, getting blown up in the middle of my story would sort of put a damper on the story. Oh yeah, Ben's here. Disembodied. Friendship. Explosion. A friendship explosion? Wow. A disembodied friendship explosion? Wow. A disembodied tropical friendship explosion? Even more wow. Okay. Oh, I don't want this. Let's just throw that over there. Litter my own forest, I guess. Okay. Let's scroll up. So I think we left off at what was the word? Let's scroll down a little bit. Shenanigans, reassuring, farce, truck, totem, facade, denatured. I think we left off here after electroplation. Okay. Let me sit up in my seat because I'm leaning back. Very poor posture. You feel a bit lost. I didn't even see that message. Oh, my internet's taking a dip. What are you doing, internet? Bad. So let's check. It makes it very hard to listen to a story when, you can't hear me. Post the bitrate. OBS says there's nothing wrong. So what's wrong with Twitch? Twitch. You're lying to me. Selling me lies. Rude. Honestly. Okay. I think we're going to start with the room. For this one, we'll have roommate, unicycle, and clarification. Those will be 3 words. I think. Since they're the highest in the list that I didn't get to. Let's begin. So our story left off with 2 weary travelers, the Archduke Creeper and his best friend, the vampire, looking for his winnings on a great treasure quest to find Corporate, the most valuable mineral in all the lands. They had just defeated their new nemesis, the Sage, who was defeated in an epic battle where they had plated him in copper using electroplating. Defeated but not yet out, the Sage was... The Sage was cracked out of his shell by his minions, who had said that they'll stop those 2 roommates if they can only catch up to them, pulling out their super fast rocket-powered unicycles. The Sage and his minions went on a pursuit course for the vampire and his friend, the Creeper. Using the power of hypnosis, the vampire was able to convince one of the nearby peasants to let them know where the actual location of the village was. Making their way there, they realized they would have to move through the mafia territory. An underground organization of thugs and robbers that had plagued these lands for centuries, since the village had fallen to the sands of time and the literal ashes of the volcano right above it. Realizing they were running out of sunshine and sunset was nearing ever closer, and the dangers that came with traveling at night, the vampire and his friend decided to move stealthily through the landscape, hoping not to attract suspicion and attention to them, not knowing that the Sage had escaped their trap and begun a pursuit course. And as they slowed down, it was the perfect time for the Sage to strike. As the Sage came closer, he came into contact with the local mafia boss, Mr. Sock. Mr. Sock confronted the Sage, saying that he was going to rob him and take all his stuff. But the Sage had a trick up his sleeve. He offered him his rocket-powered unicycles and one of his minions, who was an excellent puppeteer. In the aftermath of their deal, the Sage and the mafia, Mr. Sock, decided to work together. Decided to work together, of course, to stop the vampire and his creeper friend from getting to the corporate. So, they decided that the best way to stop them was to ambush them along the road. Now that they're moving much more slower, they could set up an ambush ahead of them and stop them from getting there. So the mafia sent a courier. A courier with a lockpick. A courier named Lockpick to stop and alert the mafia forces down the road that they would come across 2 weary travelers and to ambush them at the first opportunity. The problem was that Lockpick didn't speak the local language very well and had to use a dictionary to translate it, and accidentally told them that there'd be 3 travelers instead of 2 they had to watch out for. As the local lord was traveling in the middle of the night from one town to another collecting taxes, his trio was ambushed on his trip there by the local mafias. Taking this as an insult, he quickly sent the 3rd of his people, his friend, to go call out for help. Using his powers of disembodiedness, he was able to create a corporeal form to travel outside of the carriage without the attackers knowing that he had escaped, to call for backup. And as explosion rang out on the road, Lord was killed. This would start a war between the mafia and the local leadership, because now they had broken the truce that they had broken so many years ago and killed the Lord in blood. The disembodied force was told everyone what had happened. Now, unfortunately, a ghost separated from their body. That the only way to stop these evil forces was to call on the Tropic people to help them stop these guys and swat them like the flies they were. As the explosion ringed out in front of them, the vampire and his friend the creeper noticed that there seems to be a battle going on ahead of them. So they took a different route. And as they scaled the side of the mountain through a valley pass, Sage freaked out. Not only had he upset the mafia boss and caused quite the scuffle, now he was an enemy of both the mafia and the local militia. Going into hiding, he decided that he would sneak around the mountain using one of his spare rocket-powered unicycles that was powered by Curds Away to sneak around the mountain and meet them on the other side. Will they have a chance to survive? Will they be able to steal the Corporalite and finally prove their worth? I guess only time will tell whether or not they'll cause a thermonuclear winter. There you go. The end. There you go. How'd you guys like this story? I tried my best. You guys really threw me for a loop that one time. You really did. You almost got me! But we successfully navigated out of there. I didn't even have to skip a word that time. That was nice. 10 out of 10, I would tell that story again. If I could remember anything that's happened. Fearless is not so good with the endings. No, I gotta practice with the endings, don't I? Should it have ended with them all dying? No thermonuclear winner? Random donated words? I try my best. Let's see. Okay. Well, let's see. What should we do now? What should we do now? Where was the leavening used? Oh, the leavening was used by the bakers, because that's what they wanted. That's what the evil sage wanted. He was using the Corporalite to buy leavening for his evil bakery plans. Obviously, it only makes sense that a sage would be the head of a bakery. And that would be the greatest fiend of all time. It only makes sense, guys! I'm not sure where the confusion lies. It all comes together. Cheesy joke! Are you sure you want a cheesy joke? I mean, you did redeem story time, guys. You did. But the cheesy jokes might just still be a little dangerous, you know? Too dangerous for mortal eyes to bear witness to, okay? The last time I told a cheesy joke, we shattered the fabric of reality. And killed some creepers. In another dimension. Maybe we should fly so I don't, you know, starve to death. Keep off lawn! Find your soul! Root. Root. Cbones with a creepy Dr. Fearful face. Look at that. Look at that smile. I'm sure we won't be seeing any of him, though. We locked him away a long time ago. We're safe. The last time you told a cheesy joke, you told me that the joke I told you. That's true. I did tell you the joke I told you. You literally gave me that joke that day, and I was like, oh, this really cool person gave me that joke. And then you redeemed it. And then I told you that you That's true. It is true. Okay, let's set my spawn over here. There we go. Let's get a cheesy joke. I'm gonna scroll down. Okay. So with the cheesy jokes, I'm gonna tell you the joke, but then I want you to see if you guys can kind of guess the answer. And if you come up with a better answer, I'll replace that answer with the one that the joke already has, you know? So in the end, we're going to craft the best cheesy jokes ever imagined, okay? And I've warned you guys, these jokes are so dangerous, so hilarious. They will shatter reality itself, you know? All the world went. They'll be all over. That's how dangerous these are, okay? So I warned you. So, what do you call a cheese who attends art openings? What do you call a cheese who attends art openings? I'll give you guys a chance to answer. And if no one provides me a better answer than the one given by this pun, I'll say that. Okay. But if you do, you have the honor of editing my cheesy jokes and making them the most powerful cheesy jokes ever. It's like evolution with jokes. You know? Only the best survive. Something like that. Now for this, we gotta make sure that you can actually climb up this. So I think we're gonna have slabs in here. So I gotta make sure there's enough space for slabs. What do you call a cheese who tends art openings? What do you call a cheese who tends art openings? A Galloway cheese in the gallery? Or is that only a cow race? I think that's a cow, a type of cow. What do you call a cheese? Not a cow. It attends all openings. This is a cheese that loves art openings, you know? Loves everything to do about art. So what is it? What kind of cheese is it? What kind of cheese would attend art openings, guys? Okay? And I'm telling you, once I tell you the pun of this joke, it's all going to be over. The world will shatter. These things are dangerous. Delicious? You know what? Yes, you will call it delicious, because all cheese is delicious, but this is a specific type of cheese. Okay. It is cultured. A cheese that attends art openings is cultured. I'm telling you guys. So funny. It's so funny that you had to hold in the laughs like I'm doing right now, you know? The urge to laugh is so monumental, but my strength, the perseverance of will, keeps it at bay, you know? That's how powerful these jokes are. So powerful that you'll have to hold in the laugh. And that always explains why there are so few laughs at this, because you're just trying to keep the world in balance. It all makes sense, trust me. I'm an expert. I'm a professional. Here we go. Creeper, what are you doing? Sorry, we can't have none of that over here. I think this will work really well for a ramp, I think. We wanted to go around the building, up. Up and around. Why do I keep calling it a building? It's a mountain. It's a volcano. Like Vesuvius kind of volcano. So we're going to go around the mountain. Going up and up slowly and slowly. We'll probably have to go around the mountain a couple times in order to get to the top. Sort of like a corkscrew. Or a nail. Or not a nail. A screw. Nails don't have the little ridges on them. Okay, we need to take a nap or we're going to die. Or, well, worse yet, we'll get something blown up. It is a big build. Maybe that's why I keep calling it a building. It is a build. Because I'm building it, right? Normally, people don't build mountains, but you know how it is. The update's taking too long, guys, okay? It's too long. I'm impatient, apparently. So I decided to build my own mountain. In the meantime, my own mountain, you know? So we'll have, like, lava flows going down the side of the mountain, I think. We'll have the little city at the top. I'm debating whether or not I want to make a big cloud above it. Like Vesuvius style, like I was talking about earlier. As, you know, the volcano began to erupt and a big cloud of ash came above it. I think that'll be nice. And I also want to do tears in the ground around the mountain. Like, the mountain itself is causing damage to the world, right? And I also keep calling it a mountain. I guess volcanoes are mountains. Like, almost all volcanoes are a mountain, but not all mountains are volcanoes, right? And sometimes volcanoes can be really tiny. So maybe you don't want to call them a mountain. Or maybe they're underwater. And are they still a mountain? Can a mountain be underwater? These are the real questions, guys. The real questions. These are what keep scientists up at night, of course. No? You gotta get rid of those arrows that the skeletons fire, because sometimes when you break blocks, they'll fall and hurt you. It's crazy. What time is it? Well, we have been streaming for 2.5 hours. Almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. Right? Stream is ending? I'm not sure. We might end it here. I am developing a bit of a headache. I have not streamed in about a month. So. And, you know, I've gone for 2.5 hours now. And I've been laughing and giggling the whole time, telling you guys amazing stories. You know, gotta save some stories for later. Because we will be back on Wednesday, I think. We're going to be jumping around from different worlds, jumping around from different builds. So we'll always be working on this, of course. We got a maze, we got this, we got a house, we got dolphins to catch. We have a personal world that I play on. Of course. This world here. And soon, we're going to be starting on the palace. I did start on it a long time ago. couple months ago, but I undid all that work. I replaced all the things I tore down and stuff like that because it was in the wrong place. So I fixed it all. And I would also make a better time lapse of it. So we're going to be building a big build here. Gargantuan in scale. And massive in complexity. On this world here. This is my personal world, right? And it's actually this build here. This one here. We'll be building. So I'd like to get some work done on that. I need to build farms. I need to build all sorts of things. So if you guys are interested, I guess, in watching someone build a farm in survival by themselves, I'll be building it in this world because I need sea lanterns. So I need to finish my guardian farm. I need so many beehives. So many beehives. The floor is beehive. I just need so many. I don't need to make a bee farm. I want to play with copper a little bit. I want to get oxidized copper, so I'm going to need to get the honey as well. So, wait. That's not how that works. You don't need honey to oxidize. I don't know what I just said. Ignore me. But, yeah, there's a lot of farm work. We're going to need sea lanterns to light this area up, because this is all lit and survival friendly. We're going to need to go on mining trips to get terracotta. The whole roof is terracotta. I don't have nearly enough. We need to get spruce leaves. I've actually been working on that. We need vines. We need stone. Right? So lots and lots of things to do. Some things I'll do off stream. The cool thing is I'll save for stream for you guys to watch and have fun with. You know? I need quartz, actually. And not in insubstantial amounts. So I'm going to have to build a quartz farm. A quartz villager farm. I sort of prototyped that on SlackVille. And I want to do it better. So we're going to need one of those. I'm trying to think of what else we need. Farm-wise. Dark oak. I already have some of the farms I need. I already have a wool farm because it's actually the wrong side. The walls are all made of red wool on the inside for interior decorating because they look great. They look so good. So good. I love this one. I love this build. Whenever I want to play Minecraft, it's usually working on this and getting to play with lighting and stuff like that. I need quartz. We're going to need wool. Mostly red wool, but rooms like this are purple, so some rooms are green, some are blue. Most of them are red. We're going to need lots of books eventually. Not right away, though, thankfully. Concrete, actually. We're going to need quite a bit of concrete. A flower farm? Yes! That's actually something I was thinking about the other day. We need a flower farm. Ooh, I wonder what this room is. I wonder what this room is, guys. I wonder what it is. I wonder what this could be. Yeah, I need a flower farm for dyes. And like I said, I'm going to do it all by myself. This is my personal world, so we're going to be taking some time to do all of that. It's going to be a lot of fun, actually. I've always wanted to create almost like every farm in Minecraft. And this build is going to require a lot of different farms, right? And subsequent builds are going to require a lot more farms as well. Surprisingly, this also needs a lot of glass. Well, I mean, I guess not surprisingly, considering the building is 30 chunks by 30 chunks right now. The building is 30 chunks. The surrounding area is more like 50 by 50 chunks right now. So, it's a big boy. It's a big boy. That's an understatement. And I'm going to build every single block myself. I've been grinding. While I was sick, I've been grinding for blocks. Specifically wood and stuff like that. I also need a lot of iron. I need 30 shulker boxes of iron blocks. The entire building is decorated with anvils. You may not see them all the time, but it's part of the decoration, right? Like, the entire building is surrounded by anvils. And that's not even half the iron, right? We got iron bars. We got iron chains. I'm gonna need netherite. Have you ever used netherite in a build before? I'm telling you, it's expensive. I used so many lodestones. DeShiny looks into the mirror, only to find your shadow looks back at you. Ooh. Yeah, this is going to be lots and lots of fun. And on SlackVille, we have all sorts of builds as well there to do. I need to fix that one Twitchville build. I need to finish my house at spawn. I need to build the hotel and all the rooms in it. I need to build the maze, and I need to finish the mountain. Right? So there's plenty of things to do, lots of fun to be had. But I think for now, oh yeah, there's one other world that we will be playing on as well. It's this world here. This is CourageCraft, my patron world. We're going to be working on finishing one of my builds that I haven't been able to finish because I've been sick. We're also be working on some other things, right? I need to finish that over there, my tower. We should be able to finish that like in one stream, I think. So we'll finish the tower. We're gonna work on the city because we're actually building a city here, like a legitimate city. It's a little hard to see with the fog, but right there's gonna be a waste processing center over here. There's an arena, like a stadium here. Some skyscrapers. We have a bakery. We have some shops. We have a gas station. We have a theater. We have a museum. We have a condominium that's not been done yet. This is a very ambitious project. I am nothing if not anything but ambitious, right? And eventually we will have fun working on every one of these projects, but I think we'll call it here for today. I just wanted some fun, relaxing, hanging out with you guys. Not doing anything too serious. Just hanging around, telling stories, having fun. And I really did enjoy coming back and seeing all your wonderful names in the chat. I enjoy every second of streaming. And it was heavy on my heart that I could not do it while I was ill. But I am back. And I hope to see more of you guys in the future. So let's go to the end screen. If I hit the button right. Did I do it? I think I did. I hear the music. Yes. It's because of viewers like you that these streams happen. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks to the $10 donation from Cbones, the amazing moderation team that always keeps the stream safe. Thank you guys so much. The brand new follower of Visuper, the resubs from Cbones, ALackOfHygine Skull, CtClunker, Zekatech, and DistractedByTheShiny. Really do appreciate you guys. It's because of you guys, every single one of you guys, that these streams are as amazing as they are. And you guys are the reason I keep streaming. Guys are feeling better? I'm glad I am too. Hope you all had a great day today, and if not, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow is only a day away. Okay, we gotta find someone to raid. Thank you for the follow as well. I really do appreciate it. Let's raid. Okay, I don't think I've ever raided Kill a Drone before. And I know he's not a part of DB anymore, but I do want to... Let's just give him a raid. I don't really see anyone else. Any other small streamers to raid. I prefer raiding small streamers. I guess we can raid Mr. Beardstone. I've never been good at any streams. Let's raid. Let's raid. Let's raid Mr. Beardstone. I'll raid Mr. Beardstone. Do we have a raid message? Yes, we do. What was it? Something about stealing cheese. Someone had a really good one. It's something about stealing cheese. Better hide your cheese, Mr. Fearless. The Fearless family is here. Should I do a raid command that says what the message is? Better hide your cheese, Mr. Fearless's family is here. The Fearless family is here. Something like that. Let's raid Mr. Beardstone. No, I don't think we have that kind of command. Let's go... Where's the button? There we go. There you go. Cheesy raid! Hashtag cheesy raid! Let's do that. Hashtag cheesy raid. Let them all know you're there for your cheese. Or their cheese. We're here for their cheese. I don't know, something like that. I'm not good at any streams, okay? Thank you guys for all coming. I really do appreciate it. I really mean every word. You fell asleep? It's okay. Thank you for hanging out. Serious. I really do appreciate it. Even if you're sleeping most of the time. Like I said, I hope you all had a great day today, and if not, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow is only a day away. Take care, everyone. Cheese you later. Yes! Endstone looks like cheese! You're after the endstone! Get it!